Be the city council member publics can view this meeting live on Channel 8, the city's website, and YouTube. Live Spanish translation services are being provided tonight's council meeting by telephone. Please dial 720-386-9023 and use code 104091 *.
Se ofrecen servicios de interpretación en español para esta reunión del Consejo Municipal por teléfono. Marque el número 720-386-9023 y utilice el código 104091 *.
All right. All votes on tonight's agenda will be conducted as a roll call vote. We'll now call the meeting to order. Ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Of course, Mayor Douglas,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble,
Present.
Councilmember Madera, Councilmember Teeter,
Present.
Councilmember Chacon, Councilmember Kim,
Here.
Councilmember Dukes,
Present.
Councilmember Ford,
Here.
Councilmember Douglas.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to excuse members not present. Councilmember Kim. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
So
Councilmember
moved.
Kim.
Second.
The motion on the floor is to excuse members not present. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open. So sorry, we are resetting the vote for that. You may now vote.
I have a question on this, please.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes, we're voting on these two together, correct?
Correct.
My vote is split. I'm voting no to excuse one and yes to excuse the other. How do I do that?
I think you could certainly separate both of those for the record.
Could you please?
Okay. Need a motion? Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
Yes, I'll accept the amendment to separate them.
Councilmember Kim? You have a seconder?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll second that.
So I think we just need clarification on which one is first and which one is second.
Okay.
I'll do it alphabetically. Councilmember Chacon is first.
We have reset the vote. If you can vote on this as well.
This is Madera. It passes 5-2. All right. All right, next vote. This is a motion to excuse Councilmember Madero.
Mayor, are you going to ask for a motion maker and a seconder for that motion, since they're two separate motions?
Oh, sorry, okay, make a motion to excuse Councilmember Oscar Madera. Councilmember Ford?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, Councilmember Teeter? Second? Okay.
Your vote is now open.
Okay. Got to have majority on that, or is it 5-3?
It's 4-3,
4-3.
so it's excused.
Okay. All right, 4-3. Okay. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I need a motion. So do any council members wish to amend the agenda? I need a motion and a second to adopt agenda as presented. Councilmember Teeter,
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Kim.
Second.
Motion on the floor to adopt agenda as presented. We'll ask the clerk to take a roll call vote, please.
Your vote is now open.
All right, that passes 7 with 2 excused absence. All right. Now on to public comments. All public comments except for those public hearings will occur now. If you are interested in the comment about public comments on tonight's agenda, please refrain from doing so until the public comment for that particular item is heard. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes each. Person is registered to speak on multiple items, may speak multiple times. Will the clerk please call on any virtual or in-person speakers?
Of course, we have our first one. Roger Hines, may you please approach the podium? You will have 3 minutes once your timer starts.
My name is Roger Hines. I live at 10450 Brighton Road. Whoops, sorry. And I know it's not in your district or your city, but your street is. And I've talked to Adams County Sheriff, and I've also talked to the Commerce City Police about doing something about the speeding on that street. Because it is a residential area. And I've seen cars come flying off of 104th down Brighton Road and pass a stopped school bus. And both Commerce City and the Sheriff's Department has told me they'd send somebody out to kind of monitor what's going on that street. But I have yet to see a car, except for the other day when there was an accident at the corner of 104th and Brighton Road. And that's the only time I see a police car. So I would like to know if there's something that can be done, like changing the speed limit, which after they fixed the road, which was a nice thing, they raised the speed limit from 35 up to 40. And I guess everybody thinks it's Indianapolis 400. And I think we need to drop that speed limit down in that residential area and maybe put in some speed bumps or something. And that's what I've got to say, and I hope somebody gets back to me.
All right, thank you, sir. And if there's any action taken tonight, it will be done under administrative council business.
Pardon me?
If any action is taken tonight, it will be done under a council's administrative business. You bring up some really good concerns, and if so, someone should be getting back with you,
Okay.
a staff
Thank you.
member. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person to speak is Renata Trizawadi. May you please approach the podium? You will have 3 minutes once your timer starts.
Good evening. My name is Renata Trisilawati. I work at Adams County Health Department and am a member of EPAC. I am here today as a Commerce City resident to express my enthusiasm about Ordinance Number 2676, which will convert the Environmental Policy Advisory Committee, or EPAC, to the Environmental Policy and Innovation Commission, or EPIC. I have enjoyed being part of EPAC since May 2023. This committee allowed me to make recommendations, get involved in different activities to promote sustainability in the city I love, and connect with others. During my time with EPAC, I witnessed changes in the environment, communities, and circumstances. EPAC's mission to improve environmental quality for Commerce City means that we should protect our residents' health, safety, and welfare. We need a strong and balanced environmental policy, openness to new ideas, and persistence to achieve this. I see EPIC as an opportunity that can accommodate our aspirations. As a formally recognized commission that will be able to advise the City Council in nurturing sustainable practices to address environmental concerns and promote economic growth, EPIC has the potential to build its members' capacity and weave their expertise. This is an opportunity that makes me feel excited about the EPIC establishment. I believe this commission will be helpful as a space for creativity, our passion for the city, our love for the people, and our care for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next person is going to be Jessica Reynolds. Jessica, may you please approach the podium? You will have 3 minutes once our timer starts.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jessica Reynolds. I'm a district manager with several districts in your city. Today, Mayor Douglas and City Council members, I'm here on behalf of BNC 1 and BNC 2 metro districts with a time-sensitive matter. Unfortunately, it requires some immediate attention by the city. On April 22nd, 2023, the BNC Metro number 3, so that's the third party, issued a $3.5 million in junior lien bonds, despite only having $2.3 million of borrowing capacity remaining under the district's service plan. That would mean that they would be issuing bonds of $1.2 million over the borrowing capacity allowed and approved by the City Council when they were approved their service plan. If the city agrees that the recent bonds issued by BNC3 violate the borrowing limit established by BNC3's service plan, the city may only have 30 days from the date of the bond debt was issued to challenge BNC3's issuance of these bonds. Prior to the April 22nd BNC3 board meeting, the BNC3 district refused to provide the bond offering documents to the public. The BNC3 district only released copies of the documents in response to a public open records request submitted by the BNC 1 and BNC 2 metro districts, and that happened after the April 22nd board meeting. The BNC 3 district waited until April 25th, the maximum allowed 3-day response period for open records requests, to provide the bond documents to the public. The $3.5 million bond issued by BNC3 is owned by Catellis, and all directors of the BNC3 board are employees of Catellis, one of whom is the CEO of Catellis. BNC Metro Districts number 1, 2, and 3 collectively comprise the Turnberry residential community located on the north and south sides of 104th Avenue on the east side of Highway 2. Catellis is the developer of the land within these 3 districts, and since May of 2020, the boards of BNC 1 and BNC 2 have been comprised of residents. As of tomorrow, which is Election Day, Tuesday tomorrow, May 6th, 3 homeowners from Turnberry 3 will now be serving on the Board of Directors for the first time for Turnberry 3, BNC 3. BNC 1 and BNC 2 Metro Districts encourage City Council to consider enforcing the borrowing limits established in city-approved Metro District service plans. The borrowing limitations established in these plans are intended to create,
You go ahead and wrap it up.
I'm sorry, what?
You go ahead and finish. You go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay, thank you. I just have a little bit more. These as borrowing limits are established in service plans are intended to create financial protections for the homeowners living within these districts. It is important that those powers and approvals are enforced by the city. It's my understanding that as of this afternoon, City Manager Mr. Rogers has requested a formal complaint to be submitted. That is underway by our office. We just wanted to make sure that the entire city council was aware of the situation, so it could also be on your radar.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Reynolds. If any of these actions going to be underneath administrative council business later on tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our last person to speak will be Jackie Valdez. Jackie, may you please approach the podium? You will have 3 minutes once your timer starts.
Good evening, City Council and management. A few things that we need to discuss tonight is the speeding in the area of the 68th and Colorado and Brighton Boulevard. It has become very dangerous. It's happening of all hours of the night, up and down Albion, down Ash, both sides of Ash. ATVs, mini bikes, go-karts. We've called Commerce City Police Department. Sometimes they show up, other times they don't. We've been told that when they do show up, it's at the officer's discretion if they get a ticket. I've spoke to several officers where they said that they first give them a verbal warning. Well, I can tell you, as many times as they've given them verbal warning, it should now be ticketed, and they also should be impounded. They are dangerous. I called, I think it was like Friday night, it was either Thursday or Friday. Then I called Saturday, and there was an ATV, one that I didn't recognize, on 68th, that actually was doing wheelies. The kids were, high school kids were coming home late for some reason, and they were actually walking on the side of my house when I walked out the front door because I heard him. And I looked over, and he's literally doing a wheelie and starts to lose control. And the kids are walking, and they both, at first they were laughing until they realized that he almost lost control of it. And then the laughing just got real serious. This is out of hand. This is really out of hand. I mean, it's bad enough that we have the semis and we have the asphalt trucks, concrete trucks flying through there so that they think they're not going to get caught. You know, we've got the homeless over at the park now of all hours of the night, which I've called on that, walking up and down the street screaming and hollering and cussing of all hours of the night. I want to know from the police department and council and city management when we're going to get a handle on this. Again, is our property going to be damaged, or is somebody going to get seriously hurt, if not killed, before anybody steps up and does their job? Because obviously right now it's not happening. You know, we talked about the drones. That's not happening either, you know? So when is this going to take place? When is everybody going to do their job and make sure that this comes to a halt? Coming over here, off of Kearney today, here comes one of the mini bikes. You know, so it's happening everywhere. We've got to get a handle on this as Commerce City. I don't want to go to the public to do this. I don't want to shame Commerce City. I'm here. I'm a resident of 55 years, so I don't want to do that. So I'm asking, please, when are we going to get a handle on this?
Thank you, Ms. Valdez. I understand your concerns. If there's any action, it's going to be at the end, at council administrative business. So And you know, when the summertime's coming up, things are only going to get worse. I understand that. So there are actions. I mean, there is a plan of action in place. It's just the amount of time when it will be implemented.
Well,
So-
what I'd like
Well,
to.
So I'm just going to say, we're going to talk about this doing council administrative business, and I do appreciate what you're saying. And and what you have to say is not fall on deaf ears. But like I said, this is springtime's here, summertime's coming up, things are only going to get worse. So please, if you can, have a little more patience, and we'll see what
Okay,
actions we
and
have.
so what
Okay?
I'm asking, Mayor, too, also is that we have been told that now they can't impound the ATVs
Well,
and the mini bikes and
that's-
go-karts.
Some of those things are in the works, so please, again, like I said, you bring up great concerns, and we'll address that during council administrative business.
Well, thank
So
you.
I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our public comments.
All right, thank you. All right, members of the public were able to submit written comments online by mail. Written comments were received by the deadline, and they were incorporated into tonight's agenda. If a follow-up is necessary, you should be expected to be contacted by a staff member. All right, up next, proclamation. This is Public Works Week proclamation. I will invite Jenna Hahn, Jeff Bowman, interim Public Works directors, forward to introduce the Public Works staff here to read the proclamation. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
Whereas the services provided by Public Works are essential to the everyday lives of residents and the overall functioning of our community, and
Whereas Public Works professionals are responsible for the planning, design, construction, and maintenance of critical infrastructure, including roads, bridges, stormwater systems, public facilities, fleet management, public transportation, parks maintenance, and waste and recycling services, all of which are vital to building a resilient community. And
whereas these essential services could not be delivered without the expertise and dedication of skilled public works professionals, including engineers, maintenance crews, emergency response teams, seasonal workers, managers, and administrative staff, and
whereas the health, safety, quality of life, and overall well-being of Commerce City residents are directly supported by the work of Public Works personnel, and
whereas it is in the public interest for all citizens and civic leaders to understand and appreciate the critical role that Public Works staffs and programs play in our community, and
whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, in celebration of the contributions of public works professionals across the nation, and
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Commerce City hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week in Commerce City, and
be it further resolved that we encourage all residents to join us in recognizing and honoring our public works professionals for the invaluable contributions they make each day to the safety, comfort, and quality of life in Commerce City. And if I may, City Council, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize that when Public Works is fully staffed, we have a team of nearly 200 employees. Tonight, I am proud to say that employees from every one of our divisions that you heard earlier is present in council chambers, and many are joined by their supportive families. So team, please rise for your recognition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating and reading that proclamation. You guys are the heart and soul of our city when it comes to getting things done. And the first thing every citizen who lives within the Commerce City sees is the roads, it's the parks, it's the sidewalks, everything that you guys do to make those improvements when there's an issue. And yes, there's always going to be problems, but you guys are here to solve that, and you're here every day. And the fact that everyone from different departments, I couldn't imagine 200-some people being here. This is amazing, so I really appreciate that. I need a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. Councilmember Kim.
So moved.
Councilmember Ford. Okay, any discussion? Councilmember Douglas.
Yes, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. You are a vital asset to this city. I know your jobs are not considered sexy, but they actually are. So I want to thank all of you for being here and doing the jobs that you do because you love this city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. I disagree. I think your job is sexy. When I see a road that has a pothole that's been patched and it's nice and flat and you don't feel it, that's sexy. A park with a nice mowed lawn, when you drive by, you notice it, that's sexy. So yeah, I worked in the Public Works Department from 1990 to 1999, and I appreciate what all of you do. You know, I've been there, I've done that, and I know what it means. But I also think it's really important that we all recognize that Jason and the senior staff, the city council, we can't do our jobs well if you're not doing your jobs well. Everything falls downhill. And if all of you aren't being productive, we can't be productive. You heard in citizen communication tonight, road issues, police issues, you know, the things that we deal with. We rely upon you all to take care of those things for us so that we can be efficient at our job. So thank you for what you do.
Councilmember Kim.
In a PG format, poop does roll downhill, no pun intended. We just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. It is a thankless job all in all. You guys go in day out, do the best damn job you guys can do. And obviously we still, you know, there's always still going to be issues. There's always going to still be problems and all. There's always, you know, roads that are not cleared away like they should be, you know, or the fact that, you know, roads are cleared away, but you guys are technically working 24/7. It is a thankless job, and I gotta say, I appreciate what you guys do, appreciate everything that you guys do for the city. And if there's ever anything that you guys need from us, I mean, please throw it up through your chain of command there and let us know.
Councilmember Dukes.
Thank you. Just to echo a lot of the comments, thank you for all the work you have put in over a number of years, and thank you for choosing Commerce City as a place to work. Sometimes, you know, we hear a lot of complaints, but the reality is you do such a great job, almost too good of a job, where I talk to my neighbors in other cities. They're like, wow, what Commerce City looks like this? This is amazing. When we look at our parks, our rec center, our roads, and so I say too good of a job because we want make sure we have Commerce City residents taking advantage of everything that we have. It's because of your effort. It's because of your work. That other people are just admiring what's happening in this city, and I can't thank you enough. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you all so much. I am simply grateful, and I want to let you know that. It's also important that we all recognize that you have had at least 3 department leaders that I know of during the time I've been on city council. And yet, every day you come in and you do your work, you meet the goals that are set for the day, and you make this community better, and you make life for all the residents and the businesses better. So again, thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you. All right. Motion on the floor is to approve the proclamation. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. Thank you, thank you. All right, up next, Kids to Park Day proclamation. I will invite Marty Wash, PRG Superintendent, forward to read the proclamation.
I guess I don't have my posse with me tonight. Chad, want to come on? Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. I'm here to read the proclamation for the annual Kids to Parks Day. Whereas May 17th, 2025 is the 15th annual Kids to Parks Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the third Saturday of May. And whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, and hypercholesterolemia. And whereas Commerce City is a Generation Wild community working to create incredible places for outdoor programs for all ages, abilities, and whereas Commerce City is home to the nation's largest urban wildlife range, which boasts more than 330 animal species, hiking and walking trails, self-guided tours, and breathtaking views of the Front Range. And whereas Commerce City has more than 25 miles of trails and 840 acres of open space that residents can enjoy. And whereas Kids to Parks Day is open to all children and adults across the country to encourage a large and diverse group of participants. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Commerce City proclaims May 17th, 2025 as Kids to Parks Day and urge residents to make time to take the children in their lives to a neighborhood, state, or national park this month. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you. Thank you, Marty. I need a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. Councilmember Kim.
So moved.
Councilmember Teeter. Okay,
Second
is
the
there-
motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Douglas.
Yes, I'd just like to thank you for that eloquent reading of the proclamation, so thank you for bringing that forward. This is an important one.
The other council members. Councilmember Kim.
Yeah, this is definitely an important proclamation altogether. Also, keep in mind, the state of Colorado is pushing out this digital passport program to basically visit different parks in different areas around Colorado. I don't know much details on it, but if you Google it, you'll be able to see more information about it. So, thank you, Marty.
Thank you. Yes, parks play an important role with kids growing up in families. It's a place where people can, families can go and have their kids have fun. And I do like the fact that we do have a lot of parks and more to come. And also the fact that our Parks and Recs Department are looking at improving those parks by making them better and more accessible to all ages and abilities of our kids. So shout out and thank you very much. All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the proclamation. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. All right, up next, National Small Business Week. I wish it was a small week. Proclamation. I will invite the winners of the Small Business Awards forward to read the proclamation. We have the business owners from Los Dos America and My Happy Place Yoga Studio to come forward to read the proclamation.
We have an last minute addition also. We have Ben Martinez from El Jardín as well.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is
Good evening.
Michelle. Whereas National Small Business Week has been established to recognize and applaud the invaluable contributions of America's entrepreneurs and small business owners, and whereas small businesses are the backbone of our local economy, driving innovation, creating jobs, and fostering a vibrant and diverse community. And
whereas by investing in small businesses, we strengthen our community and promote economic resilience and ensure Commerce City continues to be a thriving, prosperous, and inclusive place to live and work. And whereas when we champion small businesses, we help shape a future that is economically sustainable, culturally rich, and full of opportunities for all. And
whereas Small Business Week serves as an opportunity for residents, organizations, and stakeholders to celebrate and support the hard work, dedication, and perseverance of local business owners. Now, therefore, be resolved that the City Council of Commerce City, Colorado hereby recognizes May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as Small Business Week and urges the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Week and shop small throughout the year.
Thank you. Thank you all three for businesses for being here and reading that proclamation. Without you, Commerce City, as far as people be able to have access to your services, would have to, again, venture out of our city to go meet their needs. And this is on a daily basis, so I really appreciate those who have sacrificed and make sure that only they're successful, but the people have opportunities within our city. Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. Councilmember Ford.
So move.
Councilmember Kim.
Second.
Any discussion? Mayor Pro Temple? No? Any discussion? Further discussion? Councilmember Douglas?
Thank you. So I think every week of the year should be Small Business Week. Small businesses have built this country. And so those of you who are spirited enough to start your own small business and dedicated enough to work all those hours that it takes, your small business isn't run during business hours that are open. I know that business is in your mind 24 hours a day, every minute of the day, because that's your baby. I have run small businesses, and let me tell you, you are the hardest working people in this nation. So keep it up, and you all are making Commerce City famous. So thank you so much for doing what you do, and thank you for reading this proclamation tonight, a really important one. Thank you.
Councilmember Kim.
Just want to say I appreciate the small business out there, and obviously, I've done my best to be out there as much as I can to different places, whether I'm getting stretched out or yoga is not my thing, but I try, along with trying out different Hispanic restaurants, Mexican restaurants altogether and whatnot. I know there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of money, a lot of pain, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, lots of hours that is put into this, where you basically won't see your family. This is what you guys live and die for. And at some point, you want to be successful. You want to make it. So to you guys, hats off to y'all. Thank you again.
Yes. All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the proclamation. I'll ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open.
All right, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences, and I just want to thank all the business owners for coming in and taking time to come before us to read a proclamation. That says a lot. And the fact that you open your businesses up to the community when we had meetings we had town hall meetings discussed in some of these restaurants. I think that's great. All right, I will invite the council forward to take photos for those who are present. We're going to start out first with the Public Works. So Public Works, come on up. All right, thank you, council. Okay, up next, notice of council business, Commerce City Rotary Club sponsorship. We'll invite Councilmember Ford to introduce this item.
Yes, thank you. Commerce City's Rotary Club Trap Shoot is coming up on June 21st. And every year, the city has been a sponsor, recommending a $1,500 sponsorship. And I'd like to see everybody that wants to be a part of it come out and participate. I'll make that a motion.
Make that a motion. Okay, Councilmember Kim.
Second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Hold on a sec here. All right, the motion on the floor is, let's see. Motion on the floor is Commerce City Rotary Club 18th Annual Sporting Clay Invitational Sponsorship with the request of $1,500. That is the motion on the floor. Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, please. I just want to let you all know what the money that we raise on this and some other events with the Rotary Club, what it goes to. We have a program where we buy shoes for over 500 kids in School District 14 every year around Christmas time. And sometimes for these kids, that's the only gift they get. But they will at least have a new pair of shoes to be able to last them throughout the school year. So if anybody's wondering what the money goes to, it goes right back into our community to the school-age kids in our community to buy shoes.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Ford. All right, seeing more discussion, the motion of floor is to request for Commerce City Rotary Club 18th Annual Sporting Clay Invitational Sponsorship at the cost of $1,500. That's a motion, yes. Thank you.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. All right, up next, streamlined proclamation process during council meetings. I invite Councilmember Dukes to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a motion just thinking through a way to honor our community commitments and our community excellence while making sure we honor city council business. And as we have, in some cases, up to 6 proclamations some nights, I think it'll be great to figure out a way to streamline this process so that we can really be sacred with our council business time, which is tonight, a Monday night. So this motion is to think through placing all proclamations on the consent agenda by default, and then proclamations that are special community requests, like 1 or 2 tonight would be a great example. We pull them off the consent for special recognition. Again, this is an effort to adjust and honor the community contributions while still preserving our council business time. As I've done some research and talked to other cities around this opportunity, we have some areas for just continuous improvement. Other cities do not have an hour of proclamations a night. They figure out other ways to recognize the excellence, whether it's before council meetings or larger social media and larger communication presence, where you can still recognize the excellence, but again, we are using council business time for city business. And so the motion is to streamline the process by highlighting the 2 things that I identified within the request.
Councilmember Ford.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Councilmember Douglas.
When I first came on council, that was the way the previous people on council had decided that's the way that they had wanted it to be. But the Jennifer Allen Thomas became the mayor pro tem And when she became the mayor pro tem, one of the things that she brought forward was that she wanted to make sure that the proclamations were brought back. And so that's what happened. Now, tonight, out of the ones that came forward, I couldn't have picked which ones should have been recognized publicly and which ones shouldn't have. I thought they were all important. Commerce City is unique. Yes, other cities might not do that, but they might be larger and they might not be as community-oriented as we are. And I can tell you, the people who get recognized, it is a big deal to them, as it should be. And so I cannot support this because of my experience on council, having it both ways. And there are 2 proclamations tonight that we are finding on our consent agenda. And I will be asking to pull those off because they are 2 that are very important to me. One, to recognize registered nurses. My mother, who just passed away over the weekend, was a registered nurse. And if she had not gotten her degree when she had her license, she would not have been able to support my younger brother and sister as a very young widow. That to me is a very, very important proclamation, and that is one that the Mayor Pro Tem, Jennifer Allen Thomas, as an RN, decided that she wanted to make sure that she brought back, and she did, because she worked very hard to make sure that nurses were recognized on license plates. The other is for teachers. And teachers are so underpaid and underappreciated, and any recognition that we can give them is due. And if it weren't for the teachers in our 2 districts, we wouldn't have the bright young students who are graduating and living successful lives. And so I think proclamations are extremely important. I know that I was asked to bring one forward, and it was read last week. So the year before I brought it forward, it was maternal mental health proclamation. And I was honored to see someone else reading it last week. It wasn't the reading of it or bringing it forward, it was the fact that we are recognizing people who need to be recognized, and I think it should be done publicly. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you very much. You know, I was thinking about this, and I was wondering who was going to play King Solomon. Which 2? In reading the motion, it says a maximum of 2 proclamations per council meeting may be pulled from the consent agenda for separate recognition. There's 9 of us on the city council, and we may not all agree as to which proclamations should be pulled. It also says that all proclamations will be put on the consent agenda by default. How will people know that they should be here, that they don't need to be here? I think it's an incredible aspect to include. It adds an hour to our council business at most on official meetings on Monday nights, twice a month. And I agree with Councilmember Douglas that it's important to recognize our community members, their achievements, their sorrows, their challenges. I think it's all part of making a community. At best, this should go to a study session so we can discuss how we might do it. But to limit it to 2 items from all of So it says, all proclamations will be on the consent agenda and only 2 may be pulled from the consent agenda. I can't support that. I would support a study session, discussion on it, on how we might streamline it. But I also would like the discussion to include how we might make the recognition more public, because we do these pictures. I have said this to other council members when we're finished doing the pictures with the folks who are here for their proclamation, and I don't know what happens to the photos. I don't know what happens to the proclamation itself. I don't know if it's presented on social media, and I'm on social media a lot, and I don't see it. So I hope that we will be seeing all of these this evening on social media this month. But meantime, this is for a study session. This is not something that we can do a fait accompli tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Dukes.
Thank you, and I appreciate the comments made by the fellow council members around the past and understanding the importance of what happened in the past. However, this is a recommendation to move forward, and how do we streamline the future and be more efficient with our time. I value and I recognize the importance of recognizing different parts of our communities. This is why I always push for policy to make changes. When we think about small businesses like tonight, it's important to have policies in place that help them move forward. In addition to recognizing that, my concern is that some of these proclamations have become public statement versus the policy, and I think there's some conflation around this is policy making, which it is not. I am open to a friendly amendment if thinking through what the Mayor Pro Tem has said around if we have an amendment that says 1 proclamation per council meeting. I'll be open to that as we can strategize around what one, or as we think about the future. If it's 1 per meeting, then you can look at all the other ones go on default. And if you choose to pull some others out, then it's only 2, so a total of 3 per meeting if possible.
All right. Any other council members have, before I go to second round?
Jeez.
Okay. All right, I asked this question to City Manager Rogers, and I know back in 2023, it was talked about, hey, we have, and at that time, we were talking about grants. And, instead of being formal and have them come back every year, same ones, if you want a grant proposal or sponsorship, you would have to do it at that time of year of that month, or whatever business or interest would like to receive a grant proposed by council and then approved by council. Then I'm looking at this document on October 2023, 2024, on the agenda supposedly for December 16, 2024, 2025 proclamation list. So there was a list that was proposed last year going forward. And then it's also said if there's any additional proclamations request, at least 30 days in advance for the day of the holiday or event that you wish to be recognized that isn't on the attached list. So, to say that this is not city business or to streamline it, I think we need to think twice about this. If this is about being efficient, there's other ways to be efficient. That means based on also actions, and I did hear that some of these proclamations aren't in proclamation and nature, that they're more of a statement. So please refrain from trying to apply this as a based on politics, because this is a nonpartisan council. So I would not be in support of the maximum 2 proclamations per council meeting. That just doesn't make sense, because this is for our citizens. This is not for us. And we need to make sure that we recognize people. People go through their lives on a daily basis, and some get unknown and get passed on. This is a way for us to honor them. And to put a maximum of 2, I think that's a slap in the face to our citizens. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. I did want to re-clarify my comments because I believe I heard an interpretation that wasn't what I said. The motion that we're looking at, which is a document that we have in front of us, says that the maker, who in this case is Councilmember Dukes, will move to implement the following changes regarding proclamations. 1, all proclamations will be placed on the consent agenda by default. And 2, proclamations with special community requests for public reading may be pulled from the consent agenda for separate recognition with a maximum of 2 proclamations per council meeting. That is not my motion. That is the council member's motion. I would like, if and when there is a motion, I would like, I'd like to make a motion right now. There isn't a motion on the floor.
There is a motion on the table. This is
There
the
is-
motion.
Okay. I would like to make a motion for a friendly amendment to move this discussion to a study session, please.
Councilmember Dukes.
Couple points. So, I don't agree with the motion for a study session. I think this is pretty straightforward. The comment I made around the proclamation from the Mayor Pro Tem, as you noted, clearly is written in here as a council communication. What I was offering was an effort to create policy to say if you had a concern around adding 1 guaranteed proclamation per meeting, then I'll be open to having that discussion as you expressed some concerns about splitting the baby and trying to figure out which proclamation you'll go in order. The other point I need clarification on is that by definition, a proclamation is not action. It is not a political statement to say that. It is not a political party. We are nonpartisan as a body, but the facts of the matter is that proclamations are not actionable items. They are statements, a referendum of what we believe should be true, and they're a reflection of what we think would be valuable to highlight in the community. That is the point I'm making. While they're critically and they're important, I do believe that we have sometimes 6 proclamations a night that are not action-based, and my effort is that we have urgency. Let's back up. So we have folks tonight, the public comment, who are clearly concerned about unhoused, clearly concerned about speeding, clearly concerned about the lack of groceries and lack of restaurants in certain parts of our city. And I want to spend more time addressing these policy issues so that we can continue to recognize proclamations, 1, maybe 2, while going ahead and have an opportunity to address some policy concerns. As I mentioned earlier, there's other cities that do this differently. Most cities actually have 10 to 15 minutes before council meeting to have the mayor read a proclamation, invite people together, and then actually take photos before we had council business. The last point I want to make is every professional that has come before us as a body, whether it's Bob's Rules of Order or last week our CIRSA training, they talked about the sacredity of having council business be sacred for council business. And the rationale for last week is because this is the only time that as a council, we can do this business that other people cannot do. So if we're not using this time effectively to create policies and practices in a time that we are effectively are using to do so, we are not helping the community move forward. That is my issue. That's why I have this on the table. Last piece is just the opportunity for continuous improvement to make policy. If you have recommendations to tweak it, I'm open to having that discussion here, but as far as moving to a study session, I cannot approve that.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. So then it becomes an unfriendly amendment. So I would consider it still on the floor, and if there is a second, I would like to take a vote on moving this topic to a study session.
Councilmember Douglas.
I'll second that, please.
City Attorney Zarzaki.
So the issue here is we have a motion on the floor for substantive change in process. The proposed motion from Mayor Pro Tem is actually to move this conversation to a subsequent date. So I'm just looking at our summary table of points and motions here to understand exactly what the appropriate process should be. I would actually take that motion to be a motion to continue the original motion to a study session. Because you're not changing the substantive motion, you're just wanting to move it to a different date.
Okay.
I like that motion.
Point of information, City Attorney, the motion that was made by myself and then seconded, that's the primary motion that still
Correct.
needs to be voted on, correct?
Well, there's a motion, I'm interpreting the proposed motion to amend your motion
Okay.
as an actual motion to continue the motion, the primary motion, which can take place when a principal motion is pending. That requires a majority of the quorum. It also requires a second. I would suggest, if that's where you're headed, that you clarify that that motion is a motion to continue or to postpone the principal motion to a study session.
I am
Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
making a motion to continue the principal motion to a study session.
It needs a second.
Councilmember Douglas?
Are you asking for my approval as a second?
Yes.
Yes.
You were the second before.
Then you have it. Thank
All
you.
right. Motion on the floor is to move this principal motion to a study session, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that motion fails 3-4. All right. Back to the original motion. Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
Thank you. I'd like to ask the motion maker who is going to determine which two proclamations are on, become part of the actual meeting. Are we going to be voting? Let's say we have the 6 this evening, for example. Are all 6 going to be pulled from the consent calendar, and then will we vote on each 6 independently to decide which are the 2 that will be read publicly and who will come up for photographs?
Councilmember Dukes?
The way this reads is that all of them will be on consent, and during our consent approval of agenda process, it will be the same process. So whoever wants to pull one off of the consent agenda will make a motion to pull it off the consent agenda for the proclamation. And if there's 2, there's 2. If there's not, if there's 1, there'll be 1.
Okay, and if there's 3, does, what happens then?
The way this is read, the first 2 would be the ones that will be the max of what's pulled off the consent agenda.
The first 2 in order of numbers on the consent agenda or alphabetically?
No, the first 2, oh, sorry.
Councilmember Dukes?
Do you want me to respond?
Go ahead.
Or is it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's the first 2. So the first council members that decide to pull off a consent item, this will be the consent item or proclamation that would be voted on to have up that night of the study set, or that night of the council business.
City Zarzaki, can I have a clarification on this? Because this is on the consent agenda, and right now, the way our consent agenda reads, any council member can pull anything off the consent agenda. So by making this on the consent agenda, that puts everything else in play as well. Because we're talking about specific items when consent agenda, you could have a whole sleeve, 15 items on there, and any council member could, if they want, they could put all 15. Exactly.
So the way that it currently stands, any item that's on a consent agenda can be pulled by any one member of council. That is correct. That is what's in the council policy, and that has been the tradition of this council. The motion that's on the floor alternates that, or alters it, I should say, as it relates to what I'm reading is just a proclamation. So to Mayor Pro Tem's question, if you had a scenario where there were 3 or 4 that proclamations that council may want to take off, I believe the motion that's on the floor is suggesting that only 2 could be taken off. Procedurally, I don't know how we would do that. I think you heard Councilmember Dukes explain his thought process on how that would play out. That's not in the motion. It could be further clarified by way of an amendment to the council policies. But it is not, as it stands, it's not currently clear how you would formally take off just 2.
Yes, I would like a list of what we have coming up this year. It's May right now. City Manager Rogers?
I was trying to get the attention of the city clerk. Give me 1 second, Mayor, and I can at least give you an example of what we may have coming up at least maybe the next 2 regular meetings to give you something to work from.
Okay, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't mind where this is going, but, our city has been pretty busy when it comes to proclamation, and some months we have 1, some months we don't have any.
Mayor?
Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
I really do think that this needs to be more fleshed out. There appears to be several questions as to how this will actually play out. I'm not suggesting that there isn't a reason to streamline it or that it could be streamlined. But if there are other cities doing it other ways, as the council member has noted, then that's certainly something that we could discuss at another time. I hope that even though the council majority voted to defeat the continuance to a study session, I really do believe that this needs to have further discussion because there are so many pieces of it that are up in the air.
Councilmember Dukes?
Just to note that the proclamations that are already on our list that we identified at the beginning of the year will still be on the consent item. All these proclamations can still be recognized via social media, during call-outs, other ways and methods of highlighting the importance of these proclamations. This is just, again, an effort to simplify that process so that we use city time and council business time to really make policy efforts and make policy changes.
City Manager Rogers?
So, Mayor, what we have coming up for the next 3 regular meetings on May 19th, we have the June 2025 LGBTQIA Pride Month proclamation. We only have 1 on the May 19th meeting. And then on the June 16th meeting, we have 3 proclamations, 1 declaring June 19th as Juneteenth. We have a proclamation declaring July 2025 as the B.B. Moore Campbell National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And then we have July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in Commerce City. Just as another piece of information, I think as you all have been discussing, I think there's been some hinting to it. When we do invite individuals to come and to speak, and with this new potential shift, we would only ask you all to provide us with some clarification and direction on how we would invite individuals all to come, not to come. In the off chance that if it does get pulled, would they then have a chance to read, to participate, to have a photo or not? That's just the one thing that we would seek clarification from you all on so that we could then make sure we are inviting the individuals accordingly with any shift, but just to take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kim?
Just a quick question. Would you be willing to move into a where if you had people actually show up or potentially who's on a board or commission who wants to speak on that proclamation, to have that allowed, but then those that don't, to then have that on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Councilmember Dukes.
Yeah, so if there's some that come the night of, they're invited to speak, sticking with the 2 minimum, yes, I'm amenable to that.
So if it, would it be, let's say hypothetically, let's say it's 5. I mean, I'm just saying, just the fact that if, let's say, all 5 of those that do show up, they want to come in, they want to, hey, we want to read this proclamation, would you be amenable to that?
They can still do that in public comment, right? They can still be able to
Public
share their
comment
success,
or-
or public comment. They can still, if there's proclamations on there and they want to share their excitement for it, they can do that during public comment as well.
What about reading it? What if they want to read it?
Reading it the way this would work would be 2 per meeting. Do you have an amendment you want to expand it for public?
I'm just trying to find a meetable middle ground here, because you got one side who says that, no, this is a bad idea, and the other side that says that, hey, we want to go ahead and make this efficient. I agree with both sides here. I agree with the fact that we do need to become more efficient. Hell, we can't even agree on this right here altogether, because we're going to have a conversation at the same time we have public hearing that's coming up on land and a few other things, policy-driven decisions that has to be made. I get that. But I'm just trying to figure out a way, how can we meet in the middle somewhere to say, listen, if we have actually people that want to show up to actually read a proclamation, let's say it's a New Epic, right? New Epic wants to read a proclamation that comes in, we see it on the consent agenda. They say, hey, Mr. Rogers, we want to read this one, is that okay? Can they actually come up and actually read it? It might be not part of the original 2, it could be maybe 3 or 4, or something of that effect. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because Mr. Rogers, you had mentioned, how many do we have in June now? 8, 10, 20, 30?
No,
4.
sir. We have 3.
3. So 3 in June coming up. Let's say hypothetically, those 3 in June, let's say all 3 of them want to show up and go in and speak on it. I figure we allow that. But however, if only one wants to show up, they can speak on that. But then the other 2 would just jump on the consent agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. And I think, I'm open to that amendment. The amendment would be, we'll stick with the consent agenda by default, 2 if they're put off consent item. However, if there is public that wants to speak on an additional proclamation, they'll be allowed to. I agree. I'm okay with that.
So then the motion would be, would that be an amendment? That'd be an amendment, correct? It'd be an amendment to the motion to state that.
Amendment.
To state that we can agree. Go ahead, Mr. Zarzaki.
It would be an amendment. However, I mean, the issue is you're saying the amendment would be to allow additional opportunities to speak and read the proclamation and to present on it, but I don't know how we're going to know that practically.
It would be ahead of time for sure, as far as like what we're doing now, as far as the boards and commissions, right? We actually have something that comes up and we say, hey, does anybody from DEI wants to show up and speak on the LGBTQIA, right? Or whatever it is. Yes, I would love to go ahead and read on that one. Okay, great. That gets put on the agenda.
But, okay, Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. You know, I seconded this just because I think about efficiency, and I think about the lack of efficiency. We have a lot of these meetings that go till 11, 12 o'clock at night. Doesn't affect me, but it affects the people that are sitting in the chairs out there waiting whether or not their case is going to be heard. I don't care how we fix it, but we need to be more efficient and we need to take care of city business. That's why I seconded this. I think all the proclamations need to be heard and read as well. I think that we need to try to spread them out throughout the year so that we're not overloading 1 or 2 council meetings with drastic amount of proclamations. You know, we have added the oil and gas update. That's fine if there's stuff to report. But if it's just more minutia on top of, you know, talking and all the stuff that goes on, I want to take care of city business with the folks that are here in this room to have their city business taken care of. But in the last couple of years, we have pulled up a tremendous amount of cases. I get it. needs to have a second look. We all need to have that opportunity. You have that right as a council person. But at some point, we have to say, where can we be more efficient? This is one place that wasn't going to be so impactful on the other things that we have to do. I don't care where we become more efficient. I just care that we become more efficient and we get the city's business done. But, you know, if I'm a talker and I want to sit up here and I want to talk all night and I want to eat up a bunch of time, and therefore we have cases or issues that need to be dealt with that don't get heard that night, they get put on a council meeting 4 months down the road, we are being completely inefficient. So all that matters to me is that we make some strides to be more efficient. I'm not beating up on anybody. I'm not trying to take a sledgehammer to this thing. I'm just trying to say, how can we do our job and be a little more effective while people are still awake? Because I think at 11 o'clock at night, most people have turned off their TV and they don't care anymore after that. And I think we should make sure we're transparent to them while the hours that they're awake. I'm sorry, but that's my rant.
All right, any other council members have any questions or more discussion that has not been said already? Councilmember Douglas.
Yeah, I was just wondering how this is supposed to work. It doesn't make sense to me as far as who gets chosen and how they get chosen. And I really think that that's something that, I mean, I felt it should have gone to a study session because that's where those items would be addressed. But right now, everything is just like way up in the air as to how this would proceed.
Councilmember Dukes, do you have one more thing to say?
No, just going to City Manager Rogers' point, I think there is a world where we can put at least 2 proclamations on the consent for the rest of the year. I think following up with Councilmember Ford, thinking about how do we, in practice, put 2 on the consent agenda for the remaining meetings this year, and then the other ones we've pushed out to the following year. I think the effort here is to just consolidate, be efficient, and actually prioritize which ones we need to think through. So that's a possible solution to having a 2 minimum. And if you want to pull them off, you could pull them off on the consent item, but there's 2 per council meeting moving forward.
City Manager Rogers.
I don't want to further convolute this, but I think understanding what our current practice may be beneficial to your discussion. Current practice, and we did try to outline this to you all in a council communication at the end of last year, is that as we currently stand, if there is no one who is willing to speak on a proclamation that is identified by a list or one that is to be added, it is our practice to add that to be read by title only on a consent agenda. When we do not have, or when we have someone who has approached us by boards and commissions, which has typically been by our DEI or other seated board and commission, whether it's PRG, senior commission, or likewise, those are the ones that we have then set aside for a proclamation to be read in whole. That has been our current practice. We have seen when we have had a good balance of those, a more efficient and effective reading and navigation of that aspect of the agenda. And then obviously you all have been able to get through the various course of the consent agenda with those on it. But that's what we've done sporadically, not consistent, because once again, we've had more individuals willing to speak on proclamations than not. But when not, they have ended up on consent agenda automatically to be written by title alone.
Yes, I appreciate that. To me, that makes sense. I mean, I say the last few months, we've been very efficient with our meetings. We haven't had late meetings like we had at the beginning of the year, so. All right, so Councilmember Kim, you made an amendment? Is that what?
Just call the vote. I would say just call the vote at this point.
I don't know what the vote is.
Okay, the vote is, we're going with the original. We're not going with the amendment, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the motion is to streamline proclamation process during council meetings, an effort to make council meetings more efficient, effective, and focused, and a move to implement the following changes regarding proclamations. All proclamations will be placed on the consent agenda by default. Proclamation with special community requests for public reading may be pulled for consent agenda for separate recognition with a maximum of 2 proclamations per council meeting.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes a 4-3. All right, modernization of council, Commerce City Economic Incentive Policy. Invite Councilmember Dukes to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a follow-up to our study session on April 14th regarding our economic incentive policy. As during our study session, we talked about the workforce, we talked about economic incentives and the challenges that we face as a city across the whole city. This motion is to direct city staff to take appropriate action towards the modernization of the city's economic incentive policy. I say the motion is to direct city staff because this may take recommendations from the city staff, whether it's going to be ordinance or resolution, to think through what parts and how do we modernize the policies. But for our reference, the policies are referenced in the economic development PowerPoint. There's sections 1 through 7 that range from thinking through how do we ensure we have the economic incentive packages correct for sit-down restaurants in Derby, and vacancies in buildings, and thinking about safety concerns that we have when we think about economic development policy. Those are some of the things that are referenced in sections 1. The big piece here is that the current economic development or economic incentive policy was adopted in 2014, and so right now it's 2025, and so this is an effort to modernize what we approved back in 2014. So that is a motion to direct city staff to take appropriate action towards the modernization of city's economic incentive policies that align with the recommended updates discussed during the economic development study. Most importantly, to prioritize and attracting primary employers, small businesses, and retail development.
Okay, that's the motion. Seeing no second. Councilmember Teeter.
I'll second that.
All right. Okay, a motion to modernize Commerce City Economic Incentive Policy I move to direct city staff to take appropriate action towards the modernization of Commerce City Economic Incentive Policy with the goal of aligning with recommendation updating discussed during the Economic Development Study Session back on April 14th. This modernized effort should prioritize attracting primary employees, small business, and retail development. I'm sorry, is there any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. I'm fully in favor of incentives, and the city council has had, in previous years, the opportunity to meet in executive sessions and discuss the incentives that staff is suggesting to us, and in no cases have we ever said no to any of the incentives that the staff has recommended. If we need a formal policy, that's fine with me. So onward and upward, and let's get those businesses that my constituents so desperately desire. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Douglas.
Yes, I'm looking at this as being very broad. Can you explain how you anticipate this coming back to council?
Councilmember Dukes.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is not, I guess, technically broad. This is the slides that were provided in our economic development study session. I think there are 7 slides that talk about our current economic incentive policies that range from Sections 1 to Section 7. And each of these policy recommendations, I say they range from improving the process to improving the targeted approach for or fee waivers for grocery stores, sit-down restaurants, et cetera. That's mentioned in Section 6. As far as the process moving forward, this motion will give city staff the time to dive into how these policies will be changed, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance, but this will give us, the city staff, the go-ahead to begin to making those changes as needed over the next several months. And sorry,
I
ultimately,
was
these will
just
be.
curious because I thought they always had that green light to do that, so.
Sorry, last
this
part.
is-
Ultimately, this will be brought back to city council for approval on any of these changes in sections 1 through 7.
So basically, what you're looking for are for them to make the changes that would, in quote, modernize those policies? Is that-
Councilmember Dukes.
This motion directs city staff to take appropriate action to modernize that's referenced in our economic development work study or work session to April 14th, so it wasn't too long ago when we had that work session.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess what
Sorry,
I'm-
let me finish. In that work session, it set out a number of sections within our economic development policy that the city staff will move forward with the recommendations on how to, we say update them instead of modernize, like update them to be in current times.
Councilmember Douglas.
The big piece is that the current economic development incentive package was adopted in 2014, and so the city staff will go through a process to look at the sections, bring them back, and say, this is how we're going to update them as of 2025 standards.
Councilmember Douglas.
So are you looking for specifics? I mean, are there specifics mentioned in the 2014 policies as far as incentives are concerned?
Councilmember Dukes.
Correct. During our economic development study session on April 14th, the city provided several slides, I think 6 slides of the current economic development policy and the recommendations for policy improvements in that study session. This is a follow-up to that study session to take action on the detailed and the thoughtfulness that the city staff put together. My hope is that this isn't, we didn't have a study session just to look at it, but this is an actionable piece that is referenced in our April 14th study session.
All right, I just assumed that there was a green light from that study session. I didn't know that it needed to have, be quantified like this, but I'll support it.
All right, let's go to the vote, please.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, it passes 7 with 2 excused absences. Up next, develop the metro area neighborhood tour. We'll invite, again, Councilmember Dukes to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the last. Thank you for the time tonight. As you probably noticed, these are all policy-based actions to make sure that we look at economic development and growth across our city in a policy manner. This one is an opportunity for us to think through and create a new collaboration for visits across different metro area cities. The idea behind this is that over the course of a year and a half, I've heard a lot from our dais about we don't need this, or we need that, or we don't think this is to be true. This is an effort to look at what is true across our different neighboring metro area cities and see what they have done to attract restaurants, grocery stores, foster community and gathering spaces, and then ultimately stimulate local economic growth and engagement through neighborhood development and growth. The motion on the table here is for the city staff to create 2 excursions, hopefully in the summer, for us as a city council to tour neighboring cities with their city manager as well as their economic development team to look at what they've done so that we can model it. I could give a list of potential cities we can tour, but the challenge there is that every city around us has figured something out in terms of having sit-down restaurants, customer base, and grocery stores that we have yet to figure out. And so this is an effort to try to spearhead that effort to get this figured out for us as a city as a whole.
All right. So motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilmember Teeter.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? Councilmember Douglas.
Yes, when we do these tours, and I must admit, when I wanted to do a tour of where we're having difficulty getting road work done and figuring out solutions to traffic issues, I probably should have made that as a motion rather than asking it to be directed. But when we go out and do these, I would really like to have participation from everyone involved, including the council. And I also would like to make sure that we're going into places that have similar issues as ours, such as one of the things that I think is holding back economic development, especially in the north, are the metro districts. Are we going to go places where they're facing, where they have had businesses come into metro districts where they have found solutions to those problems? So I want to make sure that these tours are beneficial so that and successful, so that we're actually getting something out of them where we can move forward and take action. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. I'm all in favor of tours. I've taken tours with HBA and seen what they consider to be best communities, best practices for communities, Painted Prairie, Upland, and which is where Loretta Heights is. And interestingly, also on that tour was Reunion. I'd like to know who would be organizing these. Are we asking commercial developers to weigh in, or are we just asking the Economic Development Department to do it? Because I suspect the Economic Development Department, after their very thorough presentation to us in recent weeks, and our conversation around challenges, that they have a pretty good idea about what's going on. Are you suggesting that we're going to be able to tell them what they need to be doing? Is that the suggestion here by looking at other cities?
Councilmember Dukes.
So the suggestion here is for the city manager in collaboration with Economic Development Department to design and implement a program titled the Metro Area Neighborhood Tour. Knowing the expertise from our economic development team as well as from the city manager, I am confident that they will look at neighboring cities that have metro districts, that have challenges similar to us, but have figured out how to overcome those challenges. I'm confident because anytime I drive to our neighboring cities for a number of events, they have so much more than we have, and hopefully this sparks and gives us an opportunity to say, what do we need to do to get this momentum for across our whole city? When you think about places like Derby, you think about downtown, other areas, or activation neighborhoods like in Oneida Street in Denver, that's a great example of like how have they been able to develop spaces for gathering, food, restaurants that look similar to Derby, and yet we haven't yet. Another example is Food Hall in Wheat Ridge, how they're beginning to break ground on an area that has been historically known as a neighborhood community, but yet they have spearheaded economic development that's unprecedented. And so all that to say is I trust the city manager and our economic development department to create a comprehensive program recognizing our challenges. and ultimately helps us think about how do we overcome those challenges with a sense of urgency.
Thank you. Any other council members? I would agree that we do need some help in the economic development portion, but we also have to have willing landowners make sure there's space for this to happen. I know there's landowners right now who do not want restaurants, grocery stores on their property. So we got to make sure we identify, if we're going to go out and do an excursion, we have to identify where those needs are going to be. Because there are a lot of restaurants and grocery stores that want to be here. You got to make sure they have a place for them. So part of this effort should be to make sure that we're keying on certain areas within our city to make sure if this is done properly, that who we engage with has a place to go, not just to do this to about learning. You can do that on your own. So hopefully that's the mission. So the motion on the floor is to request the city manager in collaborating with the Economic Development Department to design and implement a program titled the Metro Area Neighborhood Tour. That's the motion, and city clerk, please take the vote.
Your vote is now open.
All right, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. All right, thank you. Up next is oil and gas update. I'll invite Melanie, I won't butcher your last name, Sustainable Manager forward to make the presentation, please.
Good evening. I'm Melody Mascarenas. I'm here to do the. What? I hit on. Is it on now? Oh, okay. Hi.
Yeah, get a little closer.
Okay. Hi, I'm Melody Mascarenas. I'm here to do the oil and gas update this evening for energy, equity, and environment. I'm the sustainability manager here at Commerce City.
I'm sorry, Melanie, could you close a little closer?
Move closer. Okay.
Yes.
How's that?
A little closer.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, there
Thank
you go.
you.
Okay, let me see here. We don't have any applications, oil and gas applications. We received an oil and gas notice update here on this map. E3 received one ECMC notice this is during the time of March 19th through April 23rd. This area is near 136 and Highway 76. The notice was for work over rig up in unincorporated Adams County. The facility called DIBC 41-3 has several well pads that are currently producing. The work was proposed from April 7th to the 10th, and this is more than likely maintenance in the area. Plugging and abandonment in C3. This is the property we've spoke about before. It's the Chevron plugging and abandonment. We met with Greg Dean at Adams County to discuss the ADCO's process in early April. We mentioned the replugging to the development review team, DRT, and received engineering feedback. And currently, we're working on meeting with engineering to ensure that C3 draft easements and contacts in accordance with their needs. Adams County oil and gas updates. There are no updates for the time between March 19th and April 23rd. This is the environmental exceedance report for Suncor during the timeframe from February 15th to March 15th. There were 7 reportable events and 7 exceedances. And this is the data from that showing the exceedances. And that's all I have.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you, Melody. Melody, I wanted to ask about the Suncor report. It said that there were 7 events, 7 exceedances. I see 1. Are there more that could be shared with us at a later time?
Yes, we can share more. You said you saw 1 exceedance on here?
On the slide.
Okay, let me go back. Right there, those are the exceedances of, there's 7 there, and those in sewage, SO2, cyanide, so between February and March 5th.
Oh, so you are grouping each toxin in its own category?
Yes.
But not on the date on which it occurred? Is that the idea?
I think so, yes. These are, there, I have the exceedances here, so, you see here, on event date was February 17th, there was an exceedance of SO2, and that exceedance was 8 pounds.
Okay.
So that
You don't-
SO2 exceedance is on, what happened on February 17th, so it's 1 exceedance there. So all those are the amount exceeded over.
Okay. And then the actual question I had was about the sewage, the 110 gallons.
Yes.
Did that go into Sand Creek
I have it here. Let me see.
or the Platte?
That was actually, that exceedance was on the ground within the facility near the maintenance shop. And 110 gallons of sewage leaked and then was discovered. The lift station main switch was turned off and the line was isolated. Soda ash was spread on the standing liquid and surrounding soil for disinfection. So it sounds like it happened there at the maintenance shop.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Teeter.
Yes, the sewage spill, was that at the refinery, or was that?
Yes.
Okay.
It was at Suncor and Plant 1 maintenance shop is where that occurred.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council members? Councilmember Douglas.
Thank you. I received a notice that I didn't really have a chance to go over, and it's about, I believe, replacing the flare tower there. Do you have information on that?
They had 2 public meetings, Suncor did, and we sent out our notes on that. We sent our notes from going to the meetings to the city manager, and those were 2 public meetings, and I think right now, Suncor is having a public comment periods coming up. I have to double check on that one and get back to you, but
If you could do that, that would be
it's-
great, because I have a lot of people who are very much interested in knowing when the public comment periods are, so that they can make sure that they either have something written submitted by the deadline, or they clear their calendar so that they can participate in the public hearing to provide their comments. So if
There-
you could do that, I would appreciate it, because I just have so many constituents that are looking for something like that.
we received an email on that, and I'll make sure that information is sent to you. They're required to do that per their permit, with the public comment period.
Yeah, it's just that if somebody like me, who people look for to get information from as a public servant, if I don't know, I can't share that information with them. So it's really important and I have a lot on my plate, but at the same time, I can't share information with them if I'm not aware myself.
Yes, we'll get
If
that
that
to
makes
you.
sense.
Yes.
So I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
All right, seeing no others, thank you very much for taking your time tonight. All right, up next, the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items that are routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, and non-controversial. These items are presented to council for a single motion and a vote. Any member of council may ask to remove a specific item off the consent agenda for further discussion and separate vote. Tonight, there are 9 items on the consent agenda. Do any council members wish to remove an item? Councilmember Douglas.
Yes, thank you. I have 2 items that I would like to remove. That's Proclamation 25-019, proclamation declaring the week of May 5th through 9th, 2025 as Teacher Appreciation Week in Commerce City, Colorado. The second being Proclamation 25-018, proclamation declaring the week of May 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Nurses Week in Commerce City, Colorado.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other council members? Okay, any motion and second to approve the consent agenda as amended? Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
So moved.
Councilmember Kim.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, no discussion, sorry. All right, will City Clerk take a roll call vote, please? Read the title, take a roll call vote, sorry.
Minutes for the April 7, 2025 regular meeting. Minutes for the April 21, 2025 regular meeting. Ordinance 2666, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget for the city of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of federal highway safety improvement program funds for state fiscal year 2027 in the amount of $1,367,100 for accessible pedestrian signal and regulatory sign upgrades in the Public Works Department and the authorization of the expenditure thereof. Resolution 2025-049, a resolution finding substantial compliance of the annexation petition in case AN 25-0001, known as a card annexation, and setting of a public hearing to determine eligibility for such annexation. Resolution 2025-025, a resolution in support of application for Great Outdoors Colorado Generation Wild Grant funding. Resolution 2677, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget of the city of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Colorado Department of Transportation grant in the amount of $10,560 for the Click It or Ticket grant and the authorization of the expenditure thereof. Ordinance V25-0001, an ordinance vacating a perpetual easement commonly known as East 103rd Place and generally located west of Peoria Parkway and south of East 104th Avenue, Commerce City, Colorado. Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 yeses and 2 excused absences. All right, on to the 2 items that were pulled. Councilmember Douglas, you can go right ahead. What's your first item?
Okay, thank you. So the first one that I pulled was the proclamation declaring Teachers Appreciation Week 25-019. And the reason I pulled this is because teachers are the backbone of this nation. If they often say that people who can't teach, that's not true. teachers have a heart for sharing their wealth of knowledge that they have. And so because of that, I want them recognized with this proclamation. Had I known and had the time, I think I would have let all the teachers in this area know about this so that they would know that they were being recognized. I don't know if I'm allowed to read this proclamation. If so, I will, but if not, I can understand that, and I will take the vote and make a motion to pass this proclamation.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the proclamation declaring week of May 5th through the 9th, 2025 as Teacher Appreciation Week in Commerce City, Colorado. Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
Thank you. I'd like to second this, and I completely concur with Councilmember Douglas regarding the value of teachers. Oh my goodness, none of us would be here if it weren't for teachers. So thank you to all. And I also, now that we have a new rule, I'll also keep in mind the names of people that I know who are part of the proclamations and should be recognized, particularly when they live in my ward. So any teachers who live in Ward 4, I'd love to have them know specifically how much we value your time and the attention that you give to all ages and all subjects. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other council members? Yes, I would agree that teachers are very important. They tend to also a way for people to say their kids aren't getting the education they need. And so a lot of responsibility has been put on teachers, whether it's to teach or to babysit or just to even provide social adequacy for students, and to recognize that students need attention and they need that wealth of knowledge to prepare themselves going forward. And not a lot of students go to the next level as far as higher education. And we have 2 school districts in Commerce City, so we do have our challenges with both. We also need to recognize how teachers go above and beyond of what their day-to-day duties are. School may be open for a certain length of time, but those teachers work before and after school to make sure that those students are learning in different capacities than they have in the past. Councilmember Kim.
Just want to say to the 2 school districts in 27J and Adams 14 teachers, you hear it every day, and you're going to hear from me as well. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for teaching these kids. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. All right, the motion on the floor is approve the proclamation declaring the week of May 5th through the 9th, 2025 as Teacher Appreciation Week in Commerce City, Colorado.
Your vote is now open.
Thank you. Okay, that passes 6 with 1 no vote. Oh, that's right, Councilmember Teeter wasn't here. All right, and 2 excused absences. Okay, on to the next one. Councilmember Douglas, may proceed to the next proclamation, please.
Yes, the second one is proclamation 25018, and I think I made it clear during notice of council business why this one in particular is so important to me. And I particularly want to recognize our former Mayor Pro Tem, Jennifer Allen Thomas, for all of the work that she did in making sure that the license plates came through. And I just want to express how much I appreciate her continued friendship especially getting me through this difficult period of my life. She wrote me today to say that she wished that she would have gotten to meet my mom. And some of you might see me as outspoken and spunky, but I want you to know that that's where I got my spunk from. My mom didn't get her license until she was 42 years old. She raised 5 kids. And only one of us were in jail, but that was for something really stupid overnight. So she did a great job in raising those 5 kids. And most of it she did on her own, by herself, with the fact that she got to do something that she absolutely loved. She was the director of a nursing home, and she was a damn good one, and people loved and respected her. And she moved all the way back from California to South Dakota, and she was a nurse. And nurses make such a sacrifice for everyone. Think of what they did. They got us through the pandemic. They got us through the horrible pandemic, and they put their lives on the line. All the people who work for less than they deserve, we have to recognize them. So with that, I make a motion to pass Proclamation 25-018. Thank you.
Councilmember Kim.
Second that one.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you, Councilmember Douglas, and deepest condolences to you. What a lovely tribute to your mother, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Nurses are also critical to every aspect of our life, and there's so many different levels of nursing. So I can't think of anything more important. I know of several in Ward 4 who are nurses that I could mention also. So again, thank you. And again to you, Councilmember Douglas, I am so very, very, very sorry for your loss, but thank you for pulling this up in order for us to learn more about your mother.
Thank you. All right, the motion on the floor is a proclamation declaring the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2025 as National Nurse Week in Commerce City, Colorado.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. All right, on to public hearing. Z 24-006, rezoning 6925 and 6981 East 54th Place from R1 to I2. Tonight's public hearing on this application to rezone 2 properties located at 6925, 6981 East 54th Place from R2 Single Family Attached Residential District to I2 Medium Intensity Industrial District. I will remind council the following: only ask questions and gather facts, but not express opinion or indicate how you will vote. You are not permitted to provide testimony if you wish to participate in the decision. Only rely on facts developed in this hearing and in the record, and apply those facts to the criteria in the Land Development Code. We'll invite the city attorney to address council.
Is there any council member who cannot hear this matter and make a determination fairly and impartially based on the record before you and the facts and evidence as developed at the public hearing? The record will reflect that no member of council has indicated an inability to be fair and impartial. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing, and per council policy C222, the applicant and the city shall be limited to 10 minutes each for their presentation. And for council, we usually have 5 minutes on this. We're going to have 3 minutes each. If you have any questions. I will now invite the applicant forward to make the presentation.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry, just for the clarification, you were saying each council member has 3
That's
minutes
3 minutes when it.
at a time?
Yeah,
Is that what
at
you
a
mean?
time.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Good evening, City Council members, and thank you for hearing our motion. My name is Jennifer Grant, and I live at 1605 Quebec Street in Denver, Colorado. And I'm here accompanied by my colleague PJ Danahy with Danahy Development Advisors. I'm principal architect at Quintessence Design Group, and we're representing Matheson Holdings, who's the property owner of this piece of property. The property is located just west of North Quebec Street, a little bit south of East 56th Avenue on East 54th Place, in quite an industrial area. This is an image of the zoning map, and as you know, our request at hand is to rezone 2 lots within this parcel from R2 Single Family Attached Residential to I2 Medium Industrial. And as you can see here on the right-hand side of the slide, I've kind of blown up the basic vicinity where the properties exist. There, it's the yellow rectangle encircled by the pink rectangle, and so yellow on the zoning map indicates R2 single-family residential, and you can see that all the properties surrounding our lots in question are already zoned I2 medium industrial. This is an image, a Google Earth image of the property encircled in pink. The property owner that owns this property also owns the next property kind of on the left-hand side of the slide where you see the building, Matheson Industrial. And essentially, they just want to rezone the property so that it can support their existing building, which is already zoned I2. And one other item, and we had the question at the city council, the planning commission meeting about adding additional trees around the perimeter of the site. And as you can see in this slide, there are already several full-grown existing trees surrounding the perimeter of the site. Matheson Holdings is a logistics provider that provides sorting, hauling, and distributing services nationwide. They're based in Sacramento, California, and they have holdings here in Colorado as well. They would operate this facility from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a staff of about 8 people. Now, according to your municipal code, there are several items that we have to comply with in order to have our property rezoned. I'm going to actually read the requirements from the code, and I have to read them off my phone because I can't read this, but I'll just read them and tell you how we feel we've complied. So the first one is, in order to get a zone change, the city says the zone change corrects a technical mistake on the part of the city. We don't believe any technical error exists, but we're just proposing something that's in keeping with the desired future use that the city has proposed. Secondly, the municipal code says the zone change meets all of the following. Number one, the proposed zone district and allowed uses are consistent with the policies and goals of the comprehensive plan, any adopted applicable area plan or community plan of the city. And per the approved Commerce City Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 5 character areas, the proposed development satisfies the intent and location of the proposed character area, which in your code is an industrial district, or is intended to become an industrial district. Next, the city says the proposed zone district and allowed uses are compatible with proposed development, surrounding land uses, and the natural environment. As we've seen, all the land surrounding our development are already zoned I2, so that's compatible. And our proposed sidewalk replacement, storm drainage, and landscape features will be functional and aesthetic improvements to the existing condition at the right-of-way. Next, the city says that the zone district will have or future development can provide efficient and adequate provision of public services, including but not limited to water, sewerage, streets, and drainage. So we're not proposing any new water, new sewerage, or new streets, but a future development could provide that if needed. Those utilities are right down the street. And we are providing improvements to the storm drainage that I'll talk about in a second. Next, the city says the proposed zone district will have or future development can provide efficient and adequate provision of public uses, including but not limited to parks, schools, and open space. Now, we don't have any proposed parks, schools, or open space, but there are parks, schools, and open space within the vicinity. Next, the city says there's a community need for the zone district in the proposed location, given the need to provide or maintain a proper mix of uses both within the city and the immediate area of the proposed use. And since our rezone supports the character area in Chapter 5 of your comprehensive code, we feel that we've satisfied this characteristic. Next, the city says the area for which the zone change is requested has changed or is changing to such a degree that it is in the public interest to allow a new use or density. So all of the surrounding uses are already rezoned I-2, and so we feel that rezoning this from R2, since there is no residential housing on the lot, it's just a vacant lot, will be in support of the evolution of the neighborhood. I'll show you a little bit about what we're proposing to do. So the shaded area are the two lots that we're proposing to rezone, and then on the left-hand side of the slide is the adjacent lot, which is the existing building that's already zoned I-2 and is a service garage. That's the use. And if we blow into our proposed development on that shaded area, you can see the improvements that we intend include resurfacing the lot to such a degree that we would prevent any dust mitigation from impacting the surrounding area in the event of a high wind storm. We've also incorporated a fire service access loop that will be capable of supporting an 85,000-pound fire truck through working with the fire department. We've incorporated a setback that sets the property screening back about 50 feet from the right-of-way. And in front of that, we'll have a detention pond that I'll show you in a second. And we'll be replacing the city sidewalks and curb cuts based on the recommendations of the planning department. They're outside of our property line and they're in the right-of-way, but the city has requested it, and so we will comply. So if we look at the drainage of the property, we're regrading the property to drain from the northeast corner down to the southwest corner into a detention pond, which will have a full spectrum detention structure that connects to the storm drainage system that runs in the street. And if we zoom into that detention pond area, we're proposing that all of it be landscaped around the detention pond with 3 ornamental trees by the fence line and 3 ornamental trees by the sidewalk, and then a conglomeration of Colorado appropriate shrubs, grasses, and perennials. And all of it will be irrigated with drip irrigation and some spray head irrigation in the center of the pond that will get the native grasses started. Then at the back edge, we'll have a screened fence element, which will be a 6-foot-high wood fence. It will be finished with an opaque wood stain. The stain is made by a company called Olympic by PPG. And the fence posts, or the fence panels, will be connected to metal posts on concrete pilasters. And that concludes our presentation on this matter. We appreciate the opportunity to present our project to you.
Thank you. Any council members have questions for the applicant? I have a question on, you mentioned the surface is going to be new recycled aggregate road base. And the property that's next to it right now has big trucks, right?
Yes,
And those trucks are going to be on this property, correct?
yes.
Okay. I know from past experience that that's a lot of weight. And having recycled aggregate road base can move. It's a lot different than if you have solid asphalt or concrete.
Yes, it is. We have a geotechnical report that we have from our geotechnical engineer, which, and a separate letter that verifies, after we had the conversation with the fire department, we got our geotechnical engineer to verify that the entire area the entire lot, if we use recycled asphalt, can support 85,000 pounds because of the depth of our structure. But again, we're still working with the city on exactly what that surface is going to be, but that's our current proposal.
So you say depth, how thick is that surface?
The thick, where's my, do you remember how thick the?
Sir, could you-
18 inches.
18 inches? Okay. Thank you. Any other council members have any questions? Councilmember Douglas.
So it's 18 inches and it is a material that is not, it's loose, is that?
It's made out of recycled asphalt, but it's a lot like gravel. So they take areas of road and they crush it up and they distribute it. So it's a recycled material, but it's similar to gravel.
But it's not, I'm looking for the word, solid.
No, but it's in keeping with your code design standards. It's allowable.
So if the city would decide that you would need to not replace it as putting it, but to initially put in a different surface product, would that be something that you would be open to, or would that, I know this is for zoning, but this has, it's come into the equation here.
Well, we would like to see in writing what you're saying, because if the code allows us to use that material, and then you're telling us we can't use that material, that's a violation of the code.
Thank you.
I got a question for City Attorney Zarzaki. Since this is a rezoning case, and these items are coming up, is that something that could be brought up later?
That's the kind of thing that in
City
the
Attorney, hold on,
development.
I'm asking City Attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Mayor, I think the question that you're asking is, given the fact that this is a zoning hearing, are items such as the makeup of the asphalt something that can come up in the context of the zoning decision? And a short answer is no. On page 3 of your binder is the Land Development Code, section 213232, that establishes the zoning criteria, which was already presented by the applicant. Those criteria are the criteria by which council should make its decision on whether or not it believes the applicant has met those elements or has not met those elements. I don't see anything in the zoning criteria that specifically talks about design standards. I sort of look over to my city manager if he would like to explain when that decision or discussion would take place, but I believe that would be administratively not in the context of a zoning hearing.
That is correct, City Attorney Zarzaki. Decisions around the architectural tenements of the building and/or features with respect to landscaping, design with respect to the drainage and/or design features that you may with access as such would be at the time of the development plan, which be under the administrative control and the authority of the development plan process.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Councilmember Ford.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the surface for parking. So my understanding, it would be an impervious, it would be a pervious surface that would allow water to go back into the irrigation aquifer, therefore resulting in less stormwater distribution, which I think is a good thing. I think it's very much like our Public Works lot that our big trucks park on. So I'm okay with that. I just wanted to clarify that it would be a pervious surface.
The surface is currently a pervious surface as we've proposed it, but we've designed the pond structure to be large enough that in the case that the owner paves it in the future, it would handle all of the stormwater coming off of an impervious surface, but we prefer to allow the water to drain back to the aquifer.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
Thank you very much. Is the property to the north of you industrial?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the property south of you industrial?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the property east of you industrial?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the property west of you industrial?
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Seeing no others, okay, we're going to invite Dalton Guerrera, City Planner, to make the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dalton Guerra. I'm a senior planner with the Commerce City Planning Division. The request before you is a zone change from R2 to I2 for 2 properties, about 1.4 acres total. We do also have a concurrent plat and development plan that staff is reviewing for a lot of the details that were mentioned in the applicant's presentation. And so the 2 properties in question are the yellow rectangles, zoned R2 currently, surrounded by I2. So the request, simply put, is to change those yellow rectangles into the purple that's surrounding it. It is currently vacant, and as you can see on this aerial, there's a lot of industrial existing out there, and there's a lot of outdoor storage existing in this area. The character area is the Fusion District, more specifically the South Rose Hill. As mentioned, there are a lot of existing trucking and outdoor storage uses here. There is an existing residential neighborhood, but it's further west of these subject properties. And the goals of this character area are to phase out the industrial in the residential area specifically, but where the existing industrial is, the goal really is to enhance these sites. And so from the economic development framework, this is a business and employment park. And the goal, again, is to enhance these existing industrial areas with improved screening, with improved landscaping and the design of the sites. The residential, just to show you where that residential is, it's the green, which is the Rose Hill neighborhood, which is further west than where these subject properties are. Staff did receive some public comment regarding the dust mitigation from the improved surfacing, having adequate on-site drainage and buffering to the neighboring properties. And again, these details will be worked out with staff in the development plan phase. The project was reviewed by all the development review team agencies. There's access coming off of East 54th Place. The traffic study identifies 3 estimated daily trips. There's an adequate on-site detention pond being proposed, and other site improvements, including surfacing, screening, and landscaping. And all of this will be evaluated and analyzed in the development plan review process. Some considerations for discussion: the I2 zoning district is compatible with the comprehensive plan, as mentioned earlier in this presentation. This zone change would allow the property to develop with outdoor storage, which is consistent with the surrounding area. And it'll bring it into compliance with the LDC for all of our outdoor storage standards that includes the surfacing and landscaping and screening. Staff does recommend approval of this zone change. And on April 1st, the Planning Commission also voted 5-0 to recommend approval to the City Council. This is a look at the zone change criteria that has been outlined in the staff reports. Happy to go over any of these individually if wanted, if desired. And here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council members have questions? Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. Could you put up the slide again that showed the location in the residential? So the green is the residential and the star is the location?
That's correct.
And how far is that?
Couple hundred feet.
Oh, the residential is that close?
I mean, it's a couple streets over. There's other residential zoned properties a couple hundred feet away from the subject properties, but that exact residential area, Rose Hill, is not that close.
Okay, so it's fairly close.
Doesn't show the Rose Hill.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think if you look at the comp plan map, the Rose Hill neighborhood is west of Newport Street, and here Newport Street is about a half a block away. So that kind of gives you a couple hundred feet, but the dividing line appears to be either Newport Street or the street over, which is Niagara Street, I believe. Because Newport is, half the block is industrial and half the block is residential fronting Niagara, so it's a couple of blocks away.
My concerns have always been around Commerce City's propensity for putting industrial next to residential zoning. So that was my concern. Has this property been used for storage for these trucks to this point?
Yeah, historically it has been that way. There used to be a residential home on the site up until about 2010. But even up to that point, the properties were being used for outdoor storage.
Okay, so since 2010, has Matheson Holdings been putting their trucks on this site?
They may have, but it's not currently being used that way.
Has it been blank, empty for 15 years?
It's been vacant for as long as I can go back in the aerials, but as I mentioned, it had been used for outdoor storage in the past.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, I just measured it. It's approximately 740 feet to the nearest residential to the west, so it's about a little over a city block away from this property.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Douglas.
Thank you. So, thank you for the presentation, and you mentioned the public comment that was submitted. In this public comment, they said that they felt that I-1 is a better choice above I-2. Can you tell me the difference between those two?
Sure. Yeah, the main difference between I-1 and I-2 zoning really is the allowance of outdoor storage. So the reason that the applicant's requesting the I-2, one being that the surrounding area is already zoned I-2, but also that it would allow them to use the site for outdoor storage in conjunction with their primary business on the site directly to the west.
And what does outdoor storage, is that for the trucks? I'm sorry about my
That's okay.
being in the way here, but
Yes, that's the main reason for the applicant requesting but outdoor storage, as identified in our code, it requires it to be related to the principal use. And so they would really only be allowed to store trucks and other materials related to
I'm sorry,
their
would you
business.
repeat that last statement?
Yes, our land development code requires that all outdoor storage is related to the principal use. And so all they're allowed to store on this site is items that are directly related to their truck repair business.
Okay. And so that would be basically what, like, just trucks with the I don't remember what they're called, the
Yeah, trucks and trailers.
in the back.
Yes.
Okay. And the whole surface would be well, that doesn't have anything to do with this, so I won't ask that question. Okay, thank you.
Any council members have questions? Thank you. I had a question. So you show the picture of the facility, and right now the Madison has property in the corner. Well, here it looks like dirt, but the one in the corner right now is concrete, right, next to it?
Which property are you referencing, Mayor?
From the previous applications, from their slide, it shows where those trucks are now, those are concrete. They're on top of concrete. Is that correct?
On the existing site? I am not sure what the material is on the existing primary site to the west.
Okay. From the picture that they had the presentation, the lake was concrete. So no, I guess that is dirt. So it is dirt. No, you had it. You had it right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking now, it's okay. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, on to public comments. Do we have anybody sign up for public comments online or in person?
We do not, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right. So does the applicant wish to make any rebuttals with the small amount of time you have left? All right, seeing no others. Councilmember Douglas.
May I still ask questions of the applicant?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Would there be any other storage besides trucks? Are you thinking of anything else besides that?
No.
So it would just be, so it wouldn't be equipment and
The way that the code is, my interpretation of the code is that the primary use dictates what can be stored in the associated storage. So and right now that building is being used as a service garage, so it's mostly going to be trailers, which
Okay.
is in keeping with all the surrounding properties that do the exact same.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. I just wanted to verify it so that I know what I'm doing here. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming back up.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll now close the public hearing. I need a motion and second to introduce ordinance Z24-006 by council seated and approved on first reading. Councilmember Ford.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance Z24-0006 by council as seated.
Councilmember Teeter.
Second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Motion on the floor is to introduce ordinance Z24-006 by council seated and approved on first reading. We'll ask the clerk to read a title and take a roll call vote, please.
Your vote is now open. For ordinance Z24-0006. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the city of Commerce City, Colorado by rezoning the properties generally located at 6925 and 6981 East 54th Place from single-family attached residential district, R2, to medium-intensity industrial district, I2. Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 with 2 excused absences. Thank you. All right, on to ordinance on second reading, ordinance 2676, establishing EPIC Commission to cities, boards, and commission. This ordinance was not approved unanimously and was therefore not placed on the consent agenda. Do any council members have questions for staff? Mayor Pro Tem Noble? Okay. All right, need a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2676 on second and final reading. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
So moved.
Councilmember Dukes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Motion on the floor is to approve ordinance 2676 on second and final reading. Will the city clerk read the title and take a roll call vote, please?
Ordinance 2676, an ordinance amending the Commerce City Revised Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Article 3, establishing the Environmental Policy and Innovation Commission. Your vote is now open.
That passes 6 votes, 6 yeses and 1 no, and 2 excused absences. All right. On to administrative business. Do any council members have administrative business items, emergency or unforeseen circumstances? Councilmember Ford.
Yes, I would just like to ask the council to direct staff to meet with the gentleman from Brighton Road, have somebody from our police department and Public Works discuss the potential for speed humps and/or some traffic division to run some radar in that area to see if we can eliminate some of his concerns.
City Manager Rogers.
Thank you, Mayor. We already have that individual's information. I do not need a motion to take that, but we will reach out to that individual with respect to his request for speeding along Brighton Road, just north of 104th.
I bring it up only because with citizen communication and the dialogue that takes place, to make sure that if that gentleman is at home and watching, that he knows that we haven't let him down by bringing it up during administrative council business.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We will definitely reach out.
Appreciate that. Any other council members? Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you. Regarding the issues on East 68th, I'd like to note that on April 3rd of 2023, we passed a safety plan for multimodal on 68th. It was between Commerce City and CDOT. And I wondered what the status is of that. Ms. Valdez often brings this street up when she comes through, and I just wondered about the staff plan, the safety plan, sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I do not have that status update handy today, ma'am, but I will get information out to the council if you all would like to share that with Ms. Valdez, or we can also then circle up or have our PW team circle up with Ms. Valdez as well with that.
All right, great, because it's been a couple of years. And then the other question I had was about RTD, and I had raised this a couple of weeks ago about having RTD come and speak, and also the RTD sub-regional service councils. And it turns out that the city council had also voted that the staff member who attends the sub-regional service councils needs to be a resident of Commerce City. So we have taken, my point is that we have taken action on this previously. So I hope we can look that up regarding what the expectations were and participation. I know that the idea behind having the staff liaison to the RTD committee was that a resident would have the best insights regarding needs in Commerce City for bus service and so on. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Douglas.
I think it was Bill.
Yes, thank you.
Or Adrian. It was-
Is it possible, I don't have a motion put together because this was something that was brought up in citizens communication, but is there any possibility of looking into setting speed limits on recreational vehicles like ATVs and licensing them and then setting fines? I mean, this is not an issue just that hits the South, especially in the area that's over by Alsop Elementary School in particular, but I'm hearing about it from people in the North as well. And is there any possibility of you helping me put a motion together so that we can get?
So we do have some regulatory controls here. I know that this has been a conversation that has come to this council several times over the last couple of months. And in response to that, we've been communicating internally, we being the city attorney's office, city manager's office, and PD, to understand what enforcement controls are available and at the city's discretion. So, in a sense, or in a summary, we have CRS provision that prohibits the use of ATVs on public roads. My understanding is that we have used that, we've used that enforcement tool to issue citations. That is coming directly from PD. I don't know sort of numbers-wise how many we're issuing a month or a year. But if you would like, I'm happy to work with the city manager's office and with PD to provide a summary of what enforcement controls we have and how we've been using them.
And one of the problems I heard from people is that these guys are fast, and they'll see them, but by the time there's any response, they're long gone. Do these vehicles have to be licensed? Do they have to have a license plate on them? And if you don't have the answer to that, I wouldn't expect you to know that off the top of your head. If you could.
I think we can provide you with some additional information, ma'am, with respect to that, as it pertains to it from a state statute perspective, but also from a municipal code, and as it pertains as well to our enforcement there too.
Yeah, because, we can't do citizens arrest, so and especially like with the reckless driving, and unless, I don't know if a video is admissible to be able to find these people or ticket them. So, but I really think it's something that is only going to be a growing problem if we don't address it now. We're in the spring months, and look what's going to happen in the summer months, and it's affecting both ends of our city, north and south. So, if we could please get working on that so that we could get ahead of the game, I would really appreciate it. And I guess I don't actually have a motion with that, but maybe that's something that we could work on, and we can come up with that for future. But I want to get started on it now. And is there any update on the drones that were promised to that area?
Well, the drones will be citywide, and in my last update last week, we talked about the drones. 3 of the 4 were received, and we are working towards install. So the expectation for drones had always been Q3 of this year.
Q3?
So we are still on track for that.
Okay. If we at least have an answer for people, that's great. And I believe that's all I have right now, but thank you, and I look forward to helping you figure this recreational vehicle issue out. Thank you.
Okay, before I go on a second round, any other council members have any? Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on Councilmember Douglas's concern with the ATVs. Is there, part of the problem that I'm seeing is, we're hearing that, police officer pulled one over and gave them a warning and whatever. Can we go to a no tolerance scenario with these things, because it's getting out of control? I saw it 120th and Peoria just this weekend. There was a kid on a mini bike on the sidewalk, full throttle, down through a residential area headed to 7-Eleven, that had to be doing 25, 35 miles an hour down the sidewalk. And it's getting, the more that we can continue to stay lenient on it, the worse it gets out of hand. And I know they can't be licensed. In some states, yeah, you can drive different kinds of vehicles on the road, but here, there's an off-road vehicle, and we have pedestrian issues all the time, but the last thing we need is these type of vehicles flying down the sidewalks, and it's everywhere, not just on 68th Avenue. And I think until we get control of it, we need to take a no-tolerance type of approach. And I'm only one of 9, but that is my opinion, and until we get control of it, we're going to have to start putting the hammer down.
I know that the city attorney wants to speak, but I'd like us to just take a step back, because I don't want to assume that we aren't demonstrating, a level of tolerance towards that action. I know that we're hearing residents communicate that there's a level of tolerance of, permissible action that is not allowed. But since we're not there, we're not seeing it, I don't want to judge the actions of my officers in the field without actually having spoken to my police force to truly understand how they are enforcing that, and then to have that conversation with our chief, because I trust and believe, given that they're hearing this on the daily from residents, they're hearing it from council, they're hearing it from me, that they're not taking this, they're not taking this as a very light issue. So what I would say is that you all have continued to express an interest in this matter, and it's a desire for me to continue to express that on your behalf with my staff about the level of enforcement and how we continue to enforce that by leveraging the tools that we have. Obviously, we have our own limitations, which sometimes people might not always like to hear, but doesn't mean that we aren't attempting to enforce to the highest and the best attempts that we have available. But I would say, allow me to do some of our own fact finding, because I think there's always two sides of a coin that we have to figure out as we come to what we're hearing.
I can appreciate that, and I think it's important for the public to realize that this is not just kids. There are a lot of adults that are participating in this behavior as well. So, but if we don't get control of it, it's going to just continue to get out of hand. And the reason I bring it up, it's important to say this from the dais, so that anybody that is part of our police department, the chief, they can hear our frustrations, because we get beat up every Monday night over the same thing. And I just want to make sure, it'd be nice if we could get an update that says, hey, over the course of the last 2 weeks, a month, this is how many of these things we've dealt with, and this is at the level that we've dealt with them. I think that says that at least will allow the community to hear from the management at a city council meeting that yes, these things we are dealing with these as we can deal with them. Drones aren't going to stop them. They might be able to identify where they're coming from or what have you, and it's going to help. But because it's such a constant, I'd like to hear some updates about the amount of citations we've given out and how we're curbing this situation. Not just for me, but for our residents. And yeah, the police department does a great job, and I know they have the ability to make their decisions on the fly. Just trying to push the importance of this is getting out of hand. And we're coming into fireworks. That's also going to be a concern. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add to that, City Manager Rogers, do we own the poles or control the poles on 68th in Colorado and then on Ash and 68th as far as the streetlights, or is that under Xcel Energy?
That would be Xcel Energy.
Okay. Do we have any rights to put cameras up on those poles?
We would have to engage with them.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'll wait. Mayor Pro Tem Noble?
Thank you very much. I don't want to jump on the bandwagon, but I've brought it up myself, that we have the same issues, similar issues in Ward 4 as well. So ATVs and also e-bikes They're becoming quite popular and they go pretty darn fast. So people are intimidated by those, as are their pets. So it is something that we need to take a look at and figure out. So I thank you very much, Council Members Douglas and Ford, for expanding on doing more and how it can be addressed in a way that I think will help us all. And I just wanted to give you a date for the RTD Service Councils thing that I brought up. That was actually October 3rd, 2022.
Now, with Mayor Pro Tem just stated about RTD, I was informed by RTD that they're looking at coming to Commerce City on their side, but I'm not sure what the communication is on our side with having them come in. So Troy Whitmore, he is the director for District K, and he informed me that he's been notified, RTD has, that there's, the intent is for them to come forward to city council. And from what he was indicating, it was supposed to be sometime, well, in the near future. Either in this month or next month, I'm not sure. He didn't put a date on it, but the way he indicated was there's some communication. So that's, wanted you to know if you didn't know.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. So first what I had about the cameras is, does there have to be a motion made to install cameras there so we can see and just to monitor what time these activities are happening? Because I know certain areas, it's usually when the kids are out of school.
So I think the motion in and of itself would be somewhat problematic on a couple of fronts.
Okay.
One, we'd have to first have a threshold conversation with the owner of the poles, whether or not there would be a desire for us to have any equipment on their asset.
Mm-hmm.
That may or may not be something that they desire, be willing to enter into. Secondly, operationally, whether or not that is an efficient location, given with where we have some of our already planned equipment that's already tied within the larger infrastructure for Flock in and of itself within that area. What would be more appropriate would be a conversation internally for myself and the team just to be thinking about how do we create a blanket that provides, and we're already looking for that in the Adams Heights neighborhood, that gives better coverage and security and blanketing as it pertains to the various functionality that we're finding in some of our other areas. That requires time, that requires the resources. The funding is not necessarily the issue, but we have so many of that equipment that we are installing at a rate right now that we just can't get to everywhere at every point right now. And that's just the reality of it is.
Okay.
But it is something that we are trying to move as quickly as we can with the resources that we have.
All right, thank you. And the other question that was brought up, public comments, was the Turnberry Metro District situation.
Yes, so we were just made aware of this today. And it is our process that we request a complaint to be put in writing so to ensure that we have the appropriate documentation, that make sure that we're not missing anything, that we can conduct a due diligent review. And as such, once we've been able to conduct that due diligent review, it is then that point in time that we bring that matter forward to council to determine what actions do we take based on your rights within the service plan as identified. So the first step that we would have to do is to get that complaint with the evidence, with the justification of that complaint, as you heard from Ms. Reynolds or from the individual today during public comment. so that we could then be able to review in a very due diligent manner to then bring forward to you all to give us direction once we've been able to make that initial determination on whether or not there is a substantial modification or a lack of compliance to the approved service plan.
So that would be on the material modification portion, if there's one on the service plan?
If there is one, we would make that determination and ask for that direction. It's hard to say right now without seeing or receiving any of the materials.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Dukes.
Thank you. Just following up with that, do you have a time frame, like just in general ballpark, is it a couple months in this process after you receive a formal 30 days to get the form? I'm talking about the whole process itself. So.
I think it depends on the veracity of the complaint.
Okay.
If it is a significantly complex complaint that is depending upon bond issues and/or maybe some operational controls, that could be maybe a more robust review. But if it's something that's maybe more cut and dry, that we can make a very clear cut and very straightforward, it may be a couple of weeks. It is very dependent upon how well that complaint is laid out, how direct reference the information is being presented. And then obviously if there's any questions that we may have to the complainant, then obviously we're able to follow up to be able to get those answers so that we can continue with our due diligent review. Obviously, we will work very closely with the city attorney's office, as there may be some components that his office may lead versus some components that my office may lead. But like I said, it's very dependent upon what we receive in writing as it pertains to that package of the complaint.
Thank you. Councilmember Ford, did you have one more?
Thank you. Just one more. I know with the expansion plans for 120th, there's some property, the Tail Feathers Shopping Complex, 120th, on the west side of Highway 85. Now, because of what the state has bought and hasn't bought, I don't know whose jurisdiction it is. Regardless of jurisdiction, I noticed that there is a ran-down motorhome that has parked in the parking lot, and they're starting to compile a lot of junk. And I don't want it to get out of control. So whoever's jurisdiction it is, if it's not ours, and it's the state's or the counties, whoever's jurisdiction it is, I'd like to get a request for them to go over there and cite the violations that are on the property.
City Manager Rogers.
You said 120th and 85?
Where the old Tail Feathers Bar and the gas station and the car wash, many of those things are not open or functioning anymore, and it's just an abandoned kind of parking lot now. And it's starting to attract undesirables.
That would be unincorporated Adams County, so we will reach out to our counterparts.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Douglas.
Thank you. Going back to the public comment regarding B&C 1 and 2 and 3 and what the city is doing about it now, because this impacts residents, they're going to want to know what their rights are as far as participating in this, since it came before the council tonight and is on the record. What are our answers to that supposed to be? I mean, do they have a right to contest, or is this a city matter? I need to ask this question tonight so I know.
It's a good question. So to the extent that there's a complaint submitted for a violation or alleged violation of the service plan, I believe the way that it's historically come in is through the city manager's office, and as the city manager already stated, there's an opportunity for my office to also review with his staff. I think there may be, and I'm being hesitant on my wording here, there may be additional rights for members of the community under state statute, but I do not know off the top of my head, and I don't want to provide legal advice as to what their legal recourse may be under state statute. So that is to say, to the extent that there are any residents that are potentially impacted or are detrimentally impacted to what you heard in the public comment, my advice would be for them to reach out to legal counsel and determine what their rights are. Again, I know that's not a great answer that you know is palatable for you, but we have a process in this. We have a process in the city, and once the complaint is submitted formally in writing, it helps us understand factually what's going on and what's being
The
alleged.
complaint will be filed with the city, or the complaint will come from the city to the Metro District?
So I think it depends on what the complaint is alleging, right? So what I heard in public comment was there is arguably a violation of the service plan, which certainly implicates city rights, because if there's a material modification to the service plan, that has to come before this body. So that it's entirely appropriate for city staff as well as my office to review that. There may be other potential legal remedies under state statute, but I'm not sure what those may be for other individuals that are not city staff.
So by this person coming forward in public comment, that would initiate?
I believe what she stated was that she had a conversation, or someone connected with her concerns had a conversation with the city manager today, and that they're in the process of submitting something in writing. So that would trigger the review.
You understand my concerns?
I do,
because this was
yes.
in public comment.
Yes, I do, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
All right, seeing no others, we'll go to City Manager Rogers for your weekly report.
Thank you, Mayor. If we can pull up the June 2nd meeting agenda, I will go through that for you all. As we currently have standing, the monthly oil and gas monthly update. We currently have 2 public hearings that we have shifted to the beginning of that agenda, knowing that there may be some public interest. That is the final plat for the Reunion Center, filing number 1, amendment number 1, and number 2, amendment both slated for an hour, bringing that to 2 hours. Shortly thereafter, we will have the consent agenda, where we have ordinance 2677, which is a budget recognition for click it or ticket grants. We have the second reading of the Matheson's Holding that you heard tonight. Ordinance 2683, which is 4.1 million recognition of federal funds for Chambers Road widening project that we have discussed ad nauseum over the course of the last 18 months that we're finally able to bring into our coffers. Resolution 2561, which is an IGA for recognizing those funds for the Chambers Road widening project. 62 is a recognition, an IGA with CDOT for widening project of 88th Avenue. We have 66, which is a resolution for appointing a substitute judge for the municipal court. All in all, estimated to end at 10:30 p.m. Then coming into June 16th, we have 3 proclamations based on your actions tonight would be placed onto consent agenda. We would have 2 presentations that evening. We have the DEI Commission annual updates. We actually do not have a presentation on the citywide waste management services. That would actually be a resolution to award a contract that would be under resolutions for your discussion. On consent, you would have resolution declaring support of public art at the installation of Kalu Park. We have ordinance 2675, recognition of $720,000 for the design and rehabilitation of the Tower Road Bridge over Third Creek. We have ordinance 2678, the recognition of $300,000 for wildland fire mitigation. 2679, $444,000 and some odd change, recognition of funds for the police donation, reappropriation of that remaining donation amount. And then ordinance 2680, where we have $16,430.19 for reappropriation of the remaining balance of the Metropolitan Football Stadium District funding. Under public hearings, we then have the determination of eligibility of annexation for the property generally at 112th and Himalaya, known as the Ackert annexation. We are then slated to call the evening that night at 10:10 p.m. Any questions on?
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you very much. I noticed that the public hearings preceded the consent agenda. Is that a new format that you're recommending?
No, ma'am, just for the instance of that night, knowing that supposedly that we may have significant interest. We've talked about that there may be significant interest by the community as it pertains to these plats when they were first heard. I thought it made sense not keeping people here till later at night, depending on if anything got pulled, and knowing that we have an eligibility hearing on an annexation later on that night. Was trying to be respectful of a handful of our residents' times if they decided to show up and wanted to participate.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad to know that we have that flexibility going forward, so that's good. That'll be helpful for those people who may or may not come. Also, you mentioned waste services.
Yes, ma'am.
But you said it's not on the agenda because it's going to be somewhere else or at some other time?
No, ma'am, it's going to be on the agenda. It's just not going to be a presentation. It's going to be a resolution to award a contract.
To award a contract?
Yes,
for
ma'am.
waste services to some company?
Yes, ma'am.
Like waste, like who?
That will be discussed at the time of the item, ma'am.
Are you talking about things like waste management or Republic Services or that sort of thing?
Yes, ma'am. I cannot disclose.
I understand, I
Yes, ma'am.
understand. I'm a little taken aback that we were never brought the parameters for waste management services, what we wanted the contract to look like, and so now we're being asked to approve it. One of the things that was discussed early on was composting, recycling, waste diversion, et cetera, and that conversation did not take place by the city council as a whole. Apparently, the RFP was placed and you made a selection and you're going to make a recommendation without involving the city council.
Yes, ma'am. We have followed our procurement policy, and as such, we will be making that recommendation to you all for your determination.
And
as such,
how are you going to involve the city council in what aspects we wanted to have included in that contract?
I would say as per the procurement policy, ma'am.
Explain what that might be, city manager.
So as such, ma'am, with the procurement policy, when we initiated the discussion around an RFP for that, and when that was brought forward, we took the feedback from that initial discussion, and when that was published, we then have begun working from that RFP and that scope of work. We have received proposals from that scope of work based on those expectations that were discussed with the body. And as such, we will be bringing forward, based on staff's review of those proposals that had met that scope of work, that was initiated from that discussion with council. That is in alignment with that procurement policy.
I'll have to go back and see when that conversation took place. Did the RFP include composting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. Did the RFP include cardboard recycling?
I'd have to go back, ma'am, but I believe it was a comprehensive host of services and requests, as such that we received a holistic response from various responders in which, like I said, we have conducted our due diligence in which you will be provided staff's review of the most qualified bidder, to which then you will be able to respond, provide, or ask questions thereof, and then make a determination.
Did the RFP include cardboard recycling?
I don't have that specific right now for you, ma'am.
Okay, but you
And I
do
would say
know
that
it
would be
included,
and I would say that would be the most appropriate question for you to ask at the time of the discussion when it comes before you on June 16th.
I'm sorry, you mentioned that, yes, it included composting, so I thought maybe you might remember since it's a big aspect of recycling here in Commerce City. Thank you.
City Manager Rogers, I had a question. I know in the past, when we had this contract for citywide management services, the protocol would have been to bring it back to study session and those items for city council to discuss. And then based on that feedback, then it would go to the full body at a regular meeting for us to hear, at that time, take action. So what's the difference with this one?
I think, to be completely transparent with you, Mayor, I think having had internal discussions and actually reviewing our processes, I think how we have done things haven't always necessarily been in complete alignment with what should have been clear and present role discipline, and I think for protection of our procurement processes, both for staff as well as for council. And as such, here, this protects the organization and it protects the decision makers, you at the end of the day, as we bring something forward. So it does not create any perception of or implications of shading staff's decision one way or another. So when we had the conversation about process going forward, after the initial discussion about when and how we were going to move certain discussions or bring certain discussions back to the city council after the initial one at the end of last year, it was, and obviously, really working with our procurement team, it was incumbent upon us to, once again, really stay true to the processes outlined within our policies, as well as making sure that we do not run afoul of any particular bright lines that have been established for the protection of the organization, as well as for this potential project when it comes to any final decision-making by you all as the council.
Okay. And then City Attorney Zarzaki, question for you. Earlier, I see the street proclamation on here. Earlier, we had notice council business proclamation. Is that going to be an ordinance or a resolution? So is that coming back since it was unanimously? So what's the process for that?
Just so I am clear that I'm understanding your question, you're asking what the process is and whether or not something's going to be coming back to council as it relates to the motion that was approved to effectively change how proclamations are seen and heard by council. There is no need for a resolution. The motion was made, so that is something that we can move forward on as that has been approved. I would say for future us, right, having that clarified in a council policy would be helpful. I think that there was formal action that was taken by way of that motion, and we should document it so that we don't forget that that was the process that was approved. There is not much formal language at all in council policy as it pertains to proclamation, so it's something that we could button up, but there is no need for anything else to come before council to finalize that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Dukes.
Thank you. Regarding the waste management, thank you for, I saw the city clerk put up that we did discuss this on the 28th of October 2024. And I just want to encourage the city staff to bring that up again as we have this discussion in a couple of weeks, because as I recall, a part of that meeting, we had a robust discussion about what the RFP looked like, what should be in, what should not be in before you even went out to put it for bid. And I appreciate that due diligence that you did with us. And again, if we need to have that as an antidote or a notation, it'll be helpful because we had a robust discussion and I continue to have these robust discussions. So maybe as a council, we should also think through around how do we ensure that we have references to something we discussed. I don't know what the process would be. Maybe it's what you already do, continue to put in references that we discussed this and decisions have been made, because I feel like we can go in a circle or spin with stuff that's already been discussed.
What we've tried to do in the past, and we can be a little bit more consistent about this, is put past presentations that have some level of relevance to the discussion that may be coming before you. So like in this case, we can take that presentation from that evening, connect the dots to that evening about what's coming forward so that, okay, this is what kind of led to that discussion from October to now. We did also use the hyperlink to the actual video in the agenda so that that was another connecting piece for not just council, but also for residents who wanted to also hear and see what was discussed from that evening as another means of doing your own due diligence in the discussion as a refresher, knowing that from October to now, that is a couple of months. But it is providing you with the tools for you to become more learned or to re-educate yourself back on the situation, just broadly talking about the community, so that, right, we're all working from the same sheet of music.
Thank you. And I know part of council policy is to reach out to you before the meeting, so I know that this is on there. We see it on the agenda. Thank you for going through this process. So I hope that we will reach out, watch those videos, discuss it with you individually, and then be able to make a vote when we need to make a vote in a couple of months or a couple of weeks.
Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you very much. Yes, we did have the conversation, and we also had the conversation about cardboard recycling, but because it was a study session, there aren't any minutes. So I guess it would be necessary to go back and actually watch the meeting. But I would suggest to any council member that if the cardboard recycling is not part of waste management in Commerce City any longer, that will be a very interesting information to convey to our residents.
Thank you. Are you done, sir? Your report? That's just part of it.
Just a couple of things in addition, Mayor. You're going to start to see some information come out from us, talk around the towns, council town halls. One thing that we're going to want to get some advice from you all is the total number of events that you're going to want to do with the talk around towns, council town halls. Last year, you all, I believe, did 6. Given that, we're coming up on the summer months, and obviously there are a number of different things at the end of these summer months that are going to be happening. Do you all still want to do 6? Once again, total events. Last year, we did 2 council town halls. There would be 4 talk around the towns. Do you still want to do 6? Do you want to do 4 events? What would be 4, 2 council town halls, and then 2 talk around the towns, combining wards 1 and 2 and 1, and wards 3 and 4 and another. Once again, that's a conversation that we can have with you all, but just throwing out some concepts just because of timing. And then considering just the overall the overall schedule, we would hold both town halls in the month of June and hold the 4 talks around town between the months of July, August, September. And would you all rather want to start with the talk around towns if you didn't want to hold the council town halls in June, start with the talk around town events from June to September, and then hold your council town halls later in the year, maybe even after the election timeframe, knowing that yes, gets closer to holidays and so forth. But once again, we're trying to think about how best to accommodate your schedules, your desires, for when you get out into the community, knowing that there are some dynamic events that are occurring as you get closer to the November month.
Well, I would say that I like to have them before the month of October, and after that, it's just too busy. June, could do talk around town. Those were very popular, very well attended, and because we were looking at all aspects of the city, so I thought those were good. And as far as town halls, I could see if we could do, two of them, one in the north, one in the south. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to hear from other council members on that. Councilmember Dukes?
Yeah, I'm okay with the town halls earlier. My only recommendation is that we restructure them to model what the Adams County Commissioners do, where we have like a presentation at the beginning about an update, possibly from the city team, and say, well, here's what we've done so far, and then be able to do breakouts or small group discussion versus everyone comes and you just rapid fire different questions, and there's really no structure to it. So that's my recommendation. So if we do one of those in both parts of the city earlier in the summer, I would like that if it's well structured in that manner. As far as other talk around towns or smaller town halls, I do just encourage us to always think about we as public officials can still do individual outreach and have our own events that doesn't require the coordination of the city. I know several members here do their own outreach, and I would encourage us to continue to think about that, because right now it's half the year's almost over and we haven't had, and it's no fault of the city, but I think our residents want to hear directly from us and not just require us to have these structured events. So there's some of it on us that we can do.
Councilmember Douglas?
Yes, I actually feel like our citizens prefer a spontaneous, so it doesn't seem like it's scripted, and so they're feeling like they're hearing what we want them to hear. They want spontaneity, and they want honesty, and so I'm just going to tell you that that's what I know most constituents want, rather than canned.
Any other council members before I go to second? Samantha Rogers?
So let me take what I heard back, Mayor, and I'll come back and present you some suggestions in writing, and then we'll go from there.
Councilmember Duke, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, just a point of clarification. There's a difference between structured and canned presentation. I prefer to be valuable time to the residents that show up, so everyone has a space to share their concerns, not just the loudest. So having a structure is actually critical for everyone's voices to be heard.
Thank you. I would rather not have it like the county because it eats up a lot of time. So if there is going to be that kind of information put out, I would ask that we have some brochures, maybe some QR codes people could actually read prior, so that it's going to be quality time. And make sure that the times that we have, because the talk around towns are great because they're at restaurants and so, when we have town halls, there's no food. So if we can have more than just, light, maybe spice it up a little bit, that would be very helpful. So just to add that in. Thank you. City Attorney Zarzaki.
Nothing for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council members have any reports to make? Happy Cinco de Mayo today. Cinco de Mayo today. Councilmember Douglas.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I attended the Youth Commission meeting, and the Youth Commission is actually looking at putting on their own townhouse. And so I think that's quite innovative on their part. So I just wanted to let you know those are probably coming up. I know they're coming up. And then went to the pancake breakfast. I don't know what annual year this year is, but we've been doing those for a really long time. And it was well done once again. And then went to the Boys and Girls Club Gala on Saturday evening, and we had one of our Boys and Girl Clubs members recognized at that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I participated in the Speak Week ceasefire event. It was put on by the Youth Commission of Brighton, but I think what's really interesting about Brighton is that when they use students, 83% of the students at Prairie View, which is in Brighton, are from Commerce City. And we learned that when we attended the 27J meeting. It was really a fascinating meeting. A lot of good information came out of it and data. And I think we had a particularly positive exchange. I was there with Councilmember Douglas and Mayor Douglas and myself. There were 3 of us who attended this meeting, along with most of the school board from 27J. And of course, City Manager Rogers and our Deputy City Manager, Cheryl Carstens, were present as well. So I appreciated that. And I wanted to remind people that there is an election going on tomorrow for the Water District, South Adams County Water and Sanitation District election. And you vote, if you're in Ward 4, you vote at the fire station, or you can also vote in South Commerce City, but I don't exactly have that address, so I'm sorry I can't help you there. But the fire station on Walden, just south of 104th, is where you can vote tomorrow. 3 of the candidates for South Adams County Water and Sanitation District are from Ward 4, and I really appreciate when residents step up and want to do public service. I really thank them for doing that, and all candidates in the race. Remember, very few people vote in this. It's very hard to remember that there's an election tomorrow. So if you go, remember to go and then vote. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. And the address for the other polling place is 70th Avenue in Niagara, I believe, at the Water District, at the Water District offices. I just wanted to take the time to give my heartfelt condolences to the Douglas family for their loss. That includes everybody in the Douglas family. I know that it's pretty tragic, and I don't look forward to the day that I have to deal with the same situation, but I know it's life. It comes to all of us. But if there's anything the Ford family can do to help you, we're here for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other council members report? Thank you. Yes, I attended the meeting from far away last Monday and then Tuesday, along with other council members for 27J, and it was nice to have that meeting. We haven't had one in a long time, and it was nice to have that participation. I wasn't here for the AdCog dinner. If someone would like to, if they did attend, please let us know. And went to the 39th annual pancake breakfast, which was really great, and helped with the senior resources as far as money to offset some of the costs for some of the events they traveled to. And then the evening was also at the Boys and Girls Club along with Councilmember Teeter and Councilmember Douglas. So it was a little different setup this year. They did raise over $700-something, which is great for organization. So that's my report. Thank you. All right, seeing no further business, we're going to go to, we got an executive session. So we're going to adjourn to the executive session. The time is 9:32. I need a motion and a second to enter into executive session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4F and I, for the discussion of personal matters to discuss performance standards of the city manager. Is there any discussion? Sorry. The motion on the floor, sorry. The motion on the floor is to enter executive session. Yes, I do need a second. Councilmember Kim? Well, that's next.
Second.
Okay. All right. Okay, the motion on the floor is to enter executive session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4F and I, for discussion of personal matters, specifically to discuss performance standards of the city manager. I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open.
Okay, that passes 7 yeses, 2 excused absences. Before entering the executive session, I need a motion and a second to automatically adjourn the meeting following the executive session. Councilmember Kim.
So moved.
Councilmember Teeter.
Second.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to automatically adjourn the meeting following executive session. We'll ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Your vote is now open.
Thank you. All right, that's 7 and 2 excused absences. We will now enter into executive session. Council will not be returning to take action following executive session. The meeting will be immediately adjourned following executive session. The meeting broadcast and recording will be ended. Thank you.